A 1, a 2, a 3.
Mimosamo.
Driftcast.
This is the cast.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Maximum Driftcast, the only drift podcast where we sing an a cappella intro.
And being professionals at it.
And being really, that was
I think
really
our
good.
intro was a little short.
What do you mean? You want to keep singing? I don't think we should.
I'd rather make it a little longer.
I don't know. We shouldn't subject
I
anyone to that.
almost threw out my throat. My voice just almost gave out on me on that.
Yeah.
I really think people's going to love this intro. I think they deserve a longer
Well, I'm
intro.
sure either way they'll let us know in the comments if they want to hear more singing.
All right.
You guys did some stuff this week, right?
Yes. Well, let's introduce ourselves.
Oh, I'm Samuel. I'm Samuel Nalven. Don't call me Samuel. Wear it out or whatever.
Yeah, that's your maiden born name.
My maiden name.
Your-
My name is Drift Idiot /Sam. To my right over here, we got Corey Hosford, the hot dog.
Hey, what's
horse.
going on? The hot dog, the corn dog.
Corn dog, a.k.a. the
hotdogsarelegs.com. Thank you.
hotdogsarelegs.com, promoting it today. That's our sponsor for the show. What the fuck just dropped?
I just threw my phone on the ground.
Oh, God. All right, starting out strong today. And Paco over here. Paco Ibarra, and he is from Guatemala.
Yeah, that's totally
What
wrong.
is it like in Guatemala?
I don't know. Never been
Well,
there.
they'll definitely tell us about it when Trump becomes president.
Oh.
Hey, getting political. Political cast. So what have we done this past week? I know you guys did some cool stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a
Well,
mess right now, guys. Just let you know.
Corey just dropped
let's
his
I just
phone
dropped my
again.
phone again.
We'll wait for Corey to get a little
Let's
bit more
give Corey
collected.
10 minutes for
Yeah.
him to get his shit together.
Paco, tell me about your week.
Yeah, well, the week was pretty good. I was working on the van, getting it ready for this last weekend's event called Easter Drift,
Yes.
put together by the guys, local guys from Go Fast Entertainment. It was awesome. This was a great event. We had fire, we had crashes, we had drama, we had everything.
Tell me about it.
It's like a
What-
good soap opera.
Well,
I
just
wasn't there, unfortunately.
Yeah, just to start with, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the photos, but we had this thing called the wall ride when there's a lot of Easter bunny.
Yeah, they're like fishing poles with Easter bunnies hanging
Easter
down.
bunny hanging.
And if you ride the wall line, your car hits them. And is it a contest? I know it's like judged, or is it just whoever hits the most wins?
Do you know what? This is a contest.
Corey
And
MC'd it too.
I hosted it with Pat. Him and
Good old
I.
Pat Reynolds.
Yep, we co-announced it. And do you know what? This is where people go out there and put on a damn show for the spectators.
And destroy their cars. I saw a photo
It's-
of someone on top of a K-rail.
Well, so this is it. It's we tell them it's either you could win $300 or you yard sell your car to make $300.
Seems like a good gamble.
It's not a bad deal. You can walk out. $300 can probably get you
Almost the set of tires you burned through the day.
yeah, it can get you set it. But yeah, it was $300. Winner take it all.
I hear Paco over here. Oh, okay. So
Jesus.
we're actually we usually record this about 5 days prior to the release date, but I was out of town. Sorry, guys. And we're recording it Sunday morning for release tomorrow. And as we all know, Sunday morning is mimosa morning for the Driftcast guys. And also, I don't get out of my kimono on Sundays.
Yeah, I saw you actually wearing that Monday, so you did a Sunday to Monday rollover.
Yeah, often I don't change my clothes most of the time throughout the week if it's an editing week. So
Yeah, just gets comfy.
good
You don't wear
company.
any underwear under that kimono, right?
That's right.
Perfect.
Like
No.
to keep it loose.
I'm a little bit uncomfortable now that I'm sitting next to you.
Oh, don't be, Paco. We're
So,
we're
hey-
a tolerant Driftcast.
Hey, so you didn't do the wall ride contest though.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I inaugurated the wall.
Yeah, you nailed the wall a bit, right?
As soon as the event started, I the van is actually fine. I figured the whole steering issues I was having. The tires were rubbing inside the wheel well.
Mm-hmm. You're
So-
too low, right?
No, it was just like the tires, the new wheels were too wide.
Ah.
So they were rubbing inside. So I banged all the
Ouch!
sheet metal on the inside and
You
cleared
banged
it.
the shit metal out.
Yeah, it was rubbing fine, but I'm still getting used to being able to drive without any issues. So I decided to try to get closer and closer to the wall, and on one of those runs, I just over-rotated like the noob that I am, and just backed into the wall in the corner, and literally pushed my shit into the
Oh God!
But at least no one listens to this podcast, and you can just tell everyone that you totally rode the wall. And just,
Oh, I rode it
dude,
hard.
it looks so
it
good.
was so good. You pulled off the drift. Everything turned out okay.
Hey, have you finally got used to the power of the van yet?
All 90.
I can't control all 85 horses.
It is unreal. It's kind of a handful.
No,
we
but
could count how many horses
it's
are
actually-
in like under a minute.
Yeah.
It's actually I'm at the point where it feels that I need more power because like there's nothing else I can fix. Like the steering's
You've
fine.
given her all she's got.
Exactly. Is the suspension's fine. It rides great. It's just like literally just bog and needs more power. So
1, 2, skip a few, 85 horsepower.
Hey, that's a good little ride. What are you, a rapper now?
I'm a part-time rapper only on Sundays, so I had to bring my gig here.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
With your gigs tonight. Corey, you and the Street Standard and the K-Mura guys, you guys announced a thing this week.
Yeah, we did, and pretty excited about that. Actually got the first renderings of that car probably 2 weeks ago.
What is it?
what is it?
It's a Pandem Boss FD RX-7.
So Pandem is part of Rocket Bunny, part of Liberty Walk. How does that all work? I don't understand the structure of all the
So
names.
Rocket Bunny is the body kit that is produced by K-Mura, which it's been around for quite some time now. They obviously started out with the S13, S14 chassis years ago, and went into the FRS. The FRS kit probably is the first one that put Rocket Bunny on the map. The
You don't think it was Matt Power's S14 kit? I thought that was like the first.
it did. That was one of them. But really, he started getting the notoriety
that's true.
when the FRS came out. I think it was in 2012 or 2013 at SEMA. There was like 60 of them there, and everybody was like, "Have you seen the Rocket Bunny FRS?" Yeah, there's like 90 floating around
That's where
everywhere.
the term over fender nationals came from, right?
Yeah, and so after a couple years of Rocket Bunny, he started the new company, Pandem, which he wanted to do more of a different style of builds that wasn't the traditional Rocket Bunny style. And when him and I were actually working on the Boss, and Paco, you remember that because we were doing it at your house, actually.
Yes, sir.
And
Roofless garage.
Roofless Garage. Check it out on YouTube. It's like 3 hours of me and Paco in his
Just
garage.
fucking around.
So we were working on the Boss kit actually in 2014 when the Boss S14 was actually turning into a reality, and the thing went crazy when the car was released. It went crazy, and especially like when we revealed the first renderings of the Boss. Dude, Car and Driver picked it up. It was literally on all the biggest blogs and automotive websites out there.
That little parenthesis on that just it just showed me how a lot of the even like on the media, like the Car and Driver, Motor Trend, like all the big magazines and all that stuff, everybody was still calling it. Oh, they inspired themselves on an American muscle. It's like,
Right.
guys, like you are the authority on cars. And
Is that
you
because
can't-
they're saying it looks like a Challenger more than like a 510?
Right.
Yeah, no, it's not actually meant to look like a 510. It's supposed to look like a Datsun. I think it's called the Sunny. Is it the Sunny or the 310?
Yeah, it's a hybrid between kind of like both of them, where it is the traditional Datsun Motorsport style front
exactly
end.
on
But it's
a
not meant to
Datsun.
look like a Challenger.
Not
necessarily.
at all.
Yeah.
The thing is that Datsuns back in the day obviously were inspired by American muscle cars.
Yeah,
because,
so it goes back
you know,
and forth and back and forth.
Exactly. But like even at SEMA, two of the three Boss cars that were at SEMA, they had Datsun emblems. Like we did it on purpose. Like remember when we were talking about like we have to put Datsun emblem on it to make emphasis on it, and still people were called, well, you know, like these guys are like inspired by the Kudas and the Challengers. Like it's just like.
Even going in with I posted half of the picture of the RX-7.
Yeah, and everybody's like, oh, it's a Chevelle.
Well, it goes back to the Charger and Challenger.
Most of the cars, like,
and a lot of people are like, why would you disgrace the FD RX-7? It's like, let's look back at the Mazda RX-3. One that like really put Mazda on the map.
And Veilside has already done like front end differences on that car that look cool.
Which put that on the map in Fast and the Furious. So it's like, and the other thing too that you have to think about it. Everybody's like, why would you ruin that? Why would you put that car disgrace? It's actually bring the heritage of Mazda back into the scene. And a lot of these people want to look at it as a Challenger or a Kuda. It's like, you must not know your cars very well then, because if you look back, we're going back to what originated this car here.
And anything that refreshes a car that's now 20 years old and gives that like new life, then hell yeah.
Well, here's the other thing. Last thing on this topic. You have the guys who's like, man, it's not, look at the Boss. It's not the traditional Koki or Zenki front end and things like that. Why would you do that? It's like,
exactly. That's why.
Do you know what? Who else is going to do something out of the box? I don't see anybody doing anything like this. And I guess people get frustrated when they see change because they don't expect it.
That's the thing. People don't like changes.
No, they don't.
They like the usual. I mean, you see that on everything, you know.
But yeah,
not only in cars,
everyone has their opinion, and some people are traditionalists. Some people want to revise things and change them, and some people like Corey just want to watch the world eat a hot dog.
burn.
Well, what's that? There's something that's like if you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result.
Yeah, well, that's like the I think the term is like that's the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah. So don't get pissed off at the guys that want to go out and try to do something different.
No,
Because
sometimes-
we will do something different
Sometimes
every
people
time.
fuck up, and I mean, it's still not a fuck up. Just creating something new that maybe no one likes, whatever. At least you tried something new,
Yep.
and maybe you create something new that
It
everyone
hap-
likes. And
It happens all the
Right.
time, and even at a professional level. I mean, we have vehicles like the Aztec,
Which
was
everyone knows is a great-looking car.
completely-
It's a cream puff. Didn't that win like the best show SEMA 2015 and 16 back to back?
Sure did. Back-to-back winner. Paco, that reminds me, you have more news this week, of
Oh,
course.
that's right.
We got another car.
Yep. I think I'm a number 7 now.
Oh God.
Rutledge Wood, get excited because Paco just got
A Buick Riata.
Hey.
My second one, actually.
So a car so nice you had to buy it twice.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's funny because I regretted selling my old Riata. It was mint.
Yeah,
And-
I saw you pull up this one in the driveway. I saw it in the driveway. And it looks like one of the headlights is missing. Or
Two of
it
them.
doesn't-
I was
Two
working.
headlights
I
missing.
was working
Yeah.
on the headlights when Corey called me. Like, well, we're doing the podcast right now. So I was like, all right. I just left everything.
So I
and
walked
drove.
out. I walked out there and he has 2 mag lights taped to the.
Some
But
real nice engineering there.
for those who doesn't know, this is probably Buick's. This is Buick's only 2-seater car ever. It's Buick's only pop-up headlight car.
Is it really their only 2-seater car? You're gonna get called out on the internet for that?
Well, actually, the only other 2-seater car was like back in the 30s when they were still like becoming.
Isn't it Grand
company.
National?
No, the Grand National is a 5-seater. It had like a
Oh, really?
bucket
A
seat in the back,
5-seater,
like,
nice.
seat in the back. Anyways, this car in 1988, it was designed to look more like a Japanese car. It's super.
It does kind of look like an RX-3.
It looks like an RX-7.
RX-7, yeah.
FC
It looks like an
RX-7.
FC RX-7
Yep.
with a trunk instead of a hatchback.
And made by Buick, so you know it's quality engineered.
Well, it is those engines. The 3800 V6. It was a beast of an engine. Like doesn't die. And one of the main things is like it's all digital. Like the dashboard is all digital, and it has a touchscreen computer where you control the radio, the air conditioning, the diagnosis is there. Everything is just in that little touchscreen.
You know, it's funny because I think I remember now. Does it have a heads-up display?
No,
Okay.
it's too early.
I was trying to say because not too early because the 89 240SX did. When I was writing the that
Oh,
Donut
that's true,
Media
yes.
240SX video, the 240SX wasn't the first car to have a heads-up display. It's like the second, but I thought it was like a Buick car that maybe was the first.
I know Oldsmobile and
Maybe it was an old
Pontiac. They
yeah.
were coming up with heads-up displays like in the early 90s.
Just a bunch of pioneers.
Yeah.
Lumberjacks,
GM
too.
always been,
Yeah.
honestly, like General Motors has always been a pioneer company. You know, like they had like that V6 turbo.
Lebanon
on the
Chevy, new
Grand
show.
National.
Thanks for chiming in.
In the 80s. They had a turbo Trans Am in the 70s, even though if they weren't really fast, but they're always pushing the envelope. They're always experimenting with Cadillac, with Oldsmobile. They always had like different things. And you saw it with the Aztec, with the Chevrolet SSR, that weird convertible pickup truck.
That's
So-
always all the ugliest cars.
Exactly. My favorite.
Do you want to know what I did?
Yes.
Yeah, you look actually really tan.
Thank you. Yeah, I got sunburnt. I went to Virginia to shoot
Sunny Virginia.
sunny Virginia to shoot Von Gitten's test
Don't
session
shoot
with his
Von.
new cars.
What does he
Video.
do? Who's Vaughn?
Vern Griffin Jr. And
Okay.
what he does is he makes car videos.
No, you make the car videos.
What does he do then?
I don't know.
Can't
He
figure
just,
it out.
he just puts the pedal to the metal.
I mostly handle most of his affairs for him, from like RTR body kits to energy drink sponsorships to being friends with like Ken Block and that stuff. I do most of that.
Yeah.
I thought he made videos, but I don't know what else he does. Well, we'll figure that out later. He actually does want to be on the show, maybe. I don't
Maybe.
think he's ever listened to it, but he wants to be on it. So we went out there and tested. He tested his demo car and his comp car. And I don't want to reveal too much because we're going to do that in a video, but it was pretty cool. He's finally driving the new Mustang body with the independent rear suspension and all that. So definitely looked like a different driver out there. Like the car has a ton more angle. It looks hella cool. I love the new Mustang cars. Like I would definitely own one of those. I'd still throw some Japanese wheels on it, but I would definitely own one. And the shoot was almost disastrous because we only had one day to get all these shots in, and the weather was forecast a thunderstorm from like 5 a.m. till 10 p.m. Like 100% chance. And we were just trying to figure out what the hell we were going to do because you can't make a cool reveal video when it's pouring rain, let alone the issues of of having all the equipment get destroyed.
Well, do you know what you could have done?
What?
You could have done like a cool. Think about this. Okay.
Mhm.
Think about making a video release of the new Mustang, but he's like drifting through fire, right?
And then
like
jumping.
and they jump through fire and
Landing and
you
on
know
fire.
barrels on fire. Like that'd be super cool. I'm sure
That'd
it'd
be very
get
new.
tons of views.
Very, very new.
It'd be pretty innovative.
I'll see what I can do to make that happen.
That'd be awesome.
So thankfully though, the weatherman lied. And like, yeah, we're usually call times are really early on these things, and we'd have to get to the track at like 6 a.m. But the night before, we're like, well, day's screwed anyways. We're gonna sleep in until like 10 and get to the track whenever, because it's just gonna be raining all day. And I'm laying in the hotel room bed, and then I get a call at like 7:30 or whatever, and Vaughn's like, "Look outside, man!" And I looked, and it's just sunny.
He's outside the window.
He's outside the
naked.
window
With a boombox.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, he's throwing rocks at my window for an hour, but I wouldn't
Hey,
wake
look
up.
outside. He's giving you the helicopter right out your window.
Yeah. So thankfully it was sunny all day, even though like we were concerned there's clouds on the horizon the whole time. So I'm just like, okay, let's get one shot. Let's get this one shot. And then we got that one shot. And I forget the subreddit name, but it's just like OSHA or like OSHA approved or something like that. The Occupational Safety Health Administration or whatever. So I wanted to get a shot carrying the gimbal out the back of a truck driving and Vaughn driving by. The resulting shot is very awesome. I'm excited about it. One of my favorite shots I've ever
With your
done.
strap.
But, you know, I wanted to make sure that I was safe hanging out the back of this truck bed at 50 miles an hour. So I took a ratchet strap and tied it around my waist and then put it on either end of the truck bed.
That's cool.
So that way, if I would have fallen out, I would have been dragged behind the truck.
I hope there's some behind scenes.
Yeah, I got some
shots from
photos.
this.
Emotive image out there. Alex Wong was out there shooting
Nice.
stills that look awesome.
Shout out to good old Alex.
Yes. So this is going to be a really cool video. I'm going to be working on it very heavily over the next few days and then going to Long Beach.
Oh god, that's like 2
Can't
weeks
wait.
out.
It's less than
Can't
2 weeks,
wait.
man. It is like 10 days. How many days?
What's today?
Today we got Sunday, March 27th. I'm leaving to go there next Monday. So literally like a week.
It's
Oh
gonna be
boy.
exciting, man.
Let's do some comments from the fans.
Oh, that's right. So, first comment from Alfie N92 from YouTube. Do you want me to read this one?
Yeah, you hit that.
Okay, so this one says, hello,
Hello.
Stan,
Hello.
Casey,
Hello.
How's
and
it going?
Taco.
Hello.
Hi, Alfie. He says, I'm going to ask the same question that I asked last week. I guess like we didn't pay attention to this question last week. So it says, in terms of raw driver talent,
The rawest.
yeah,
Raw dog.
who do you think is best?
My
For
name's
example,
Rodney Ogg. My friends call me Rod.
Rod. For example, if you took everyone who competes in FD and put them all in stock power Miatas with basic drift mods like welded diff and coilovers, threw them into tandem battles, who do you think who come out on top?
Danny George.
Actually, I was gonna say, like, in terms of driving Miatas, seriously, Miatas are hard to drift.
It could be, for the sake of the question, it could be any car. Just like, let's say stock
But
S13 or
just-
stock Miata. Let's take the car out of the question, and I think what he's really trying to get
Just,
done.
just real quick before we go into that,
kiss
remember,
Danny in the
remember
mouth.
Corey, where you drove Brian's 8-bit Miata?
Yeah.
I couldn't drift it.
I didn't fit in it.
And
Like
you couldn't feel like your
my head was sticking like 3 feet over the windshield because keep in mind Brian is what 5'3".
Probably.
He's a midget. He's like, and I'm 6'4", 215
Well, compared to
pounds
you,
of
everybody's
spaghetti.
a midget.
So if you would have rolled the car, you would have been decapitated.
Oh yeah,
instantly.
I didn't wear my seatbelt so I can get ejected. So
Yeah, that way you fly clear of the wreckage. It's not actually a bad idea.
yeah.
Brian is probably the only person that's ever linked the whole West Track with a stock powered Miata. He's a beast in that thing. But they're hard to drive.
Yeah.
But so let's say not a Miata, but let's say a 240.
Any car, yeah.
A
Any
240,
one same stock car, who
yeah,
would be the best?
Basic. Who will be the best?
Who do you think, Paco?
I mean, I don't want to be a suck up.
Don't be a suck up.
But
Don't
I
suck
really,
it.
really think the driver with the most like raw talent, as in like he'll drift every vehicle you put in front of him, is Forsberg. That's me.
Stop being a suck up.
I'm not a suck up.
I mean, that's probably what I was going to say too.
God.
But if first of all, what would you say, Paco or Corey?
Did you call me Paco
Pa-
or Porky?
Corey.
Did you call me Porky, Paco, Corey? mix?
Corey the porcupine.
Okay, Porky. What do you want?
What's up, Doctor? I'm Porky Pig. Is
So if
that how he says?
If I had to pick one driver with some of the purest raw talent that can wheel
And
a
deal.
stock vehicle with drift mods
Basic
Against
drift
everyone
mods.
else.
against
Oh
everybody
yeah, like
else.
imagine like top 16, like everybody's driving,
Yeah.
against everybody on the same vehicle. Who's gonna be on the podium?
I'm gonna have to pick Odi. I'm gonna have to pick Odi on this
Yeah.
one.
Why?
He is one of the cars that has the lowest horsepower in
He's
the
a
FD
car?
field. He's a car. He's one of the lowest horsepowered cars
Okay.
in FD. Him driving through Pro-Am in a 240 that wasn't ridiculously built, but he has this car that's already fairly kind of stock chassis with a cage in it with field coilovers and a good LS, and he does extremely well. Go ahead.
But do you think part of Odi's awesomeness on the track is on his setup? I mean, not saying that his skills are not second to none. He's a very skilled driver, but I think one ofOdi's best cards in the game is that he can set up a car properly, and you can see that with the Genesis, like the previous Genesis before he was driving one, and they were kind of like, and then he grabbed the Genesis, like, give me the car, I'll set it up,
And podium in Long Beach.
Exactly. I think that's the best part from
Well-
it. So in this case, like, these cars are like all stock, like the same. Like, he's not gonna be able like to go and tune him and set him up. They're just like the way they are. Everybody drives the same.
I think Odi also
Just
does
the thing.
has one of the best chase games in Formula D as well.
Yeah, he's definitely an aggressive.
He is
racer.
a silent whisperer.
that doesn't make any sense, but
He's just this dude who he's not very talkative. He's actually quite boring.
He's a very nice family guy.
But you get him behind a wheel, and that dude
Transforms.
turns into this dude that is a savage.
well, let me tell you this right now. I'm gonna say it straight. If that motherfucker ever calls this show, I'm gonna lose it on him. I'm gonna tell him how big of a piece of shit I really think he is.
What?
Oh God. Who is this? Hello.
Hello, this is Odi.
Wow.
Oh man, I'm so pumped to talk to you.
This is unbelievable.
We are on a roll.
Big fan right here. I just want to say, first of all, that I love everything you do on track. I love everything you do off track.
I love all your videos.
In between all of it.
Cool, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. What's going on in your life? Thanks for calling.
Well, just trying to get ready for Long Beach. So everything in my life is like on hold, it seems like, and just trying to battle through, make sure we're good to go for Long Beach.
What's the status of the car right now?
I'm actually heading down to the shop right now. It's pretty much ready to go. It just looks pretty ugly cosmetically. You gotta still get it wrapped. So
Yeah.
It's like bare fiberglass, but mechanically we've been testing it. I'm pretty stoked on it, honestly.
Are we talking about the S14 or the Genesis?
No, actually, the Genesis is something that I'm going to be running all season long. So the 14 is going to hang out for this season, and we've been dialing in the Genesis between me and the crew. We've been
So you're gonna be running the Genesis for the entireness of Formula Drift season this year.
exactly.
Wow,
Yep,
that's some
this
news
whole
right there.
season.
I had no idea you were such a Phil Collins fan. That's cool.
What inspired this decision? And you can honestly tell us, like, whether it's just sponsor stuff or whether you like driving it better, or why Genesis this year? Because it seemed like the S14 was pretty successful for you last year.
It was, and I like developing myself as a driver, but I also like developing a newer car, just staying a little more current.
Right.
I felt that was just the right step. You can't be stagnant for too long.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, tell me about it.
so, yeah, I think it's a cool chassis. No one's really, drifting one. I mean, Reese did a pretty good job, and that was it. So I'm stoked to be in a car that no one else is really driving at the moment.
Matt Hagen is driving one.
Yeah, Corey's business partner is driving one in Pro-Am that he's built pretty beastly. So I'm trying to remember how many times you drove the Genesis a couple of rounds last year, right?
Yeah, so last season, for those that didn't follow, was kind of a season to develop this platform. Between me and Arc Performance, we basically set out a schedule to do Long Beach in that chassis, and also the Japan round. So that all went to plan. In the meantime, we were trying to develop the car more and more to get me more comfortably behind the wheel. We also were developing some cool parts for the car during that time. And we just wanted to take kind of a conservative steps forward. So last season, that's why you saw me driving the S14 the majority of the time.
Yeah.
And this year we felt like we're ready to take that step. So, we're campaigning that Genesis full time this season.
What are the big, driver feel differences for you between driver feel? It's funny because Feel Suspension, one of your sponsors. Anyways,
pun not intended.
anyways, how different do the cars feel to you? Like in terms of driving them on FD?
They're completely different chassis. So, okay, for instance, the Genesis is like 10 inches longer in wheelbase. So when you flick that car around, it feels way more stable. But at the same time, it's like lethargic. If I was to get in it and drive it like I drive my 240, it would look like very slow on transitions and lethargic. So you have to drive it completely differently as a driver to get that same kind of impact, that same result. So bottom line is they're completely different, but it's a challenge for me as a driver to kind of adapt to the differences. And, I really enjoy that. And I think the chassis is super capable. It's just a whole different beast.
Right. You just had to engineer it, make sure it works. What engine are you running in it?
That one has a CBM Motorsports built LS7 with a Vortex supercharger.
Nice.
So the motor is, definitely beastly, and we need something like that because the car is so much bigger and it is heavier than the 240. So,
because
it's
the 240 was one of the lowest horsepower cars in FD last year, right?
It was, but it was, also a super lightweight car, so it worked for me. The horsepower to weight ratio was pretty cool, and you just have to drive it with your foot down to the floor. It worked when you did that.
Yeah, so let's get some comparisons here. What weight and power was your 240 versus what the weight and power is of the Genesis?
So the 240 was, with me in it, 1,850 pounds, and it had 650 to the wheels. The Genesis, this time around, is putting down a little over 800. We're still fine-tuning a few things to maybe squeeze a little more power out of it. And it's going to be weighed in at 3,100 pounds.
Oh, wow.
All right, so it was 2,850 for the 240 with you in it?
Yeah, and
you
650 to the ground.
650 to the ground. And what do you say? You're about 160 of full spaghetti?
On my bad days, yeah, but like 155.
155. That's not bad. You got a very slim figure. You got the physique of a jockey.
Yeah, I wonder if that's an advantage to have lower body weight, but I guess not really, because you can just take the weight off it. So it's okay.
Well, the ideal, Odi, okay, you're the setup guru here. Where's the best weight if you want to add additional weight to your car? Where would you place it?
Well, it depends which car.
240. Let's say you got 215 pounds of pure muscle.
Corey's asking for a friend.
I'm asking for a friend. Let's say he's like 6'4", 215, 220 pounds. Where would you put him?
Oh, man. Outside the car. No, but in the 240, try to put him dead smack center of the car. That car had amazing weight balance, so I wouldn't want to add anything to the front, to the rear. Try to just put it dead smack center. The Genesis, I would put it towards the back of the car.
Okay.
Definitely not behind the rear axle, but towards the back of the car.
Are you writing this down, Paco, so we can
that's what
get all Odi's speed secrets here? Come on.
If only we were recording the show, so that way we could just listen back to it.
Document it.
You also have some new tires this year, correct?
Yeah, I got some new rubber this year, so running on Falcon this season, and running the big tire for the bigger, heavier car. So on the 295 40. 615K.
And what were you on last year? What size?
I was on the 275 35 in the 240.
Cool.
What tires were you running
lighter.
last year?
What's that?
What tires were you running last year?
No.
Yeah, last year I was on Nitto.
I got a question about
I
that.
never heard of him.
What was it like being just like the loudmouth guy on Nitto? Because you got like two quiet dudes. You've got Mad Mike and Vaughn,
Right.
and they're just like always just like they
Super.
claim up whenever anyone wants to talk to them. They don't know what to say. And then here's like you're like, I'm Odi, fuck you everyone.
Yeah.
And then like these other guys are just really shy and timid. How was
Yeah.
it dealing with that?
Yeah, it was annoying having to speak on everyone's behalf. Just. Yeah, it was.
Hopefully,
it is what it is. Had to battle through that.
well, hopefully you can bring Vaughn and Mad Mike out of their shells now that you're no longer having to deal with
Yeah.
them.
Well, I'm sure they're happy because they don't have this face of the brand.
They don't have that
they don't have that
weight on
Odi,
the backs.
yeah.
That weight on the backs anymore.
The Odi,
Right,
lightweight Odi on your back. What?
But yeah, those guys are great. By the way, they're awesome teammates. They're great dudes.
Odi, so you started with a bang last year. You were doing like everybody was like, "This is gonna be Odi's year," and
You were banging everybody. It was unreal.
yeah, it was insane. But then it seems like something happened mid season last year.
Yeah, we look back and we try to attribute that to something, but as much as I look back on it, it was just kind of luck was not in my favor. And I feel like in this sport, everything's got to line up together really well. And a lot of the time, you make a split-second decision that is not the right decision, and you're out the rest of the event. And that, I feel, is what happened last season.
Right.
We were fortunate that we didn't have too many mechanical problems last year, although one of my wheels fell off during Texas.
I do remember that.
So which one of your crew was fired for that?
Oh man, I wish it was that easy. We did everything correctly. It's just a part malfunctioned.
One of those things.
Yeah, it just metal got fatigued and just sheared at the wrong time. I wish it would have happened during practice.
It wasn't a loose lug situation. It was something that mechanically broke, if you want to say.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was something that broke. Everything was torqued. We are pretty religious on my crew about torquing everything and double checking it, triple checking it.
How much out of that car still comes from Hyundai?
The Genesis. Well, there's a lot of the components like wheel bearings, power steering rack, obviously all the cosmetics like headlights, taillights. Actually, rear suspension, the knuckles, the brakes, the rear bumper brakes, everything for the most part in the back is factory, except for length and arms, and obviously a quick change. To be honest, as much of it is Hyundai as much of the Nissan parts were from Nissan on my 240, if that makes sense.
Got it.
It's the same pattern on the grid every car you look at. Obviously, the engine has been swapped over to a different brand, but kind of same pattern that you see on every other team.
So hey, let's I know this is a sensitive topic for you, but let's go back to that incident where your wheel fell off again.
Yeah.
I don't want to bring it up. I know it's tough. It's happened to me before.
It's I don't know why. It seems like a reoccurring theme in Formula Drift.
Well, dude, maybe kind of explain this a little bit. People don't realize how many rear tires do you change? How many times does your wheels come on and off through a whole FD weekend?
Yeah. We burned through, I think the most I've burned through was like 40 tires during one event. So that's insane. Like every 2 laps, you're pulling the wheels off and putting new tires on. But that's kind of like the disgusting part about the sport, right?
Yeah. So, a lot of people bring up the fact, how can you have a wheel fell off? Well, if you think about the heat that is being generated through the lugs and then torquing them and then taking them off, retorquing them 40 times, think about a lifetime of a car that gets 200,000 miles. You probably don't take that tire off more than 15 to 20 times throughout the life of the car. You're doing that 40 times, exactly. 8 times a year. So shit like that is going to break very often. And that's why this whole preventative maintenance thing is always check the lugs and check the hubs and check these other things that
you could do all that. It still doesn't matter.
Hubs is one of those things that you can't really check much. It's like they're tight.
Yep.
Well, there's no movement in the bearing or anything like that. So there's a lot of things you can do to kind of keep on. But people don't realize you're going through 40 plus tires, which is 40 tire changes throughout the weekend of FD. Parts don't like that. They don't.
Yeah. And, a lot of the teams that do really well, I think what separates them is that, like you're saying, they're doing a lot of preventative maintenance. So, like, for example, at the end of the season, there's teams that pull apart their diff, their transmission. The bearings look fine. They look okay, but you put new ones in, like stuff like that. And those are the teams that seem to have less problems throughout the year. So, the preventative maintenance is kind of a huge deal in our sport because of how stressed out the cars are.
You, I think, kind of have a unique pre-FD background. What were you doing in the driving world before you started doing FD?
Nothing as serious as like what I put myself through when I found drifting.
Yeah, right.
Definitely haven't focused that much of my time on anything else, but I did drive rally for a couple years, which was fun. It was a ton of fun. Road motocross, that was kind of something that we all did in my family.
Yeah.
So it's always on something with the motor, always, wrenching on motors and suspension as well, like just as far back as I can remember.
It's interesting how many FD drivers did like motocross type stuff. And then I think Turk did motocross, Vaughn did some of that. Alex Onadell did jet skis.
You did bareback horseback riding.
I did bareback horseback riding. Forsberg, did you guys know that Forsberg was a rollerblader?
Was he?
Forsberg was a fruit booter. Yeah.
He has a rollerblading body.
Yeah.
Does he have a rollerblading addiction?
I mean, that's what he'd be doing right now. That's where his heart is. It's not in drifting.
It's in rollerblading.
What would Odi Bakchis be doing if he wasn't drifting?
Yeah, that was my next question.
Oh, I nailed it.
Yeah, I don't know about rollerblading, but
What? So if drifting didn't consume your entire life right now, what would you be doing? Would you own an ice cream truck?
If they had ice cream truck racing, I would consider it.
Hell yeah.
I don't know, maybe like racing lawnmowers. That seems to be like a pretty cool niche. I would probably continue riding motocross. I really want to go out and buy another bike and honestly start riding again. But
start getting hurt now that you're over 18 years old.
Yeah, that's the problem. I always wad myself up, or my friends that ride always, it's crash. It's just like that's what happens, and it's okay. But if you got sponsors to take care of, like you committed the whole season, like you're going to be at every event, you can't really afford to go out and have fun in a way where the consequences are pretty definite that you're going to wad it up. So.
Thankfully, in Formula Drift, you're invincible. You can pretty much just hit a wall, top speed.
Right, Odi, you've done that before in 2012, didn't you, in Vegas?
Dude, I got extremely lucky in 2012. I split the K-rail that was actually anchored into the ground with rebar. I split it open, I think, a good 3 feet. My wife was able to walk into the track while I was like crawling out of my car. So I got really lucky. I got to walk away from that, and shit happens. Yep.
Yeah, I remember I was standing at the wall, watching you lay down this very epic run, and then I saw you kind of recline your seat and take a nap, and that's when it all started. That's when it started going downhill.
I would say it's probably not a good idea to take a nap in the middle of a run, but I guess teach their own. If that's one of your rally skills,
were you just sleepy or what?
No, it's it was the second run of the night. It was the second run period, and the first run I was like, dude, this track's like it flows pretty well. I'm just gonna go a little deeper, and it was the first event. I put a dog box in my car, so it was unreal how fast it got up to speed to me, and
dogs were barking.
Yeah. Anyway, the car just got up to speed like way faster than I anticipated, and before I knew it, I was not grazing the wall. I was in the wall, and then I try to save it, and then there's another wall right after that just smacked right pretty much head on into, which didn't work out so well.
Wasn't as fun as you thought it would be.
That track was pretty atrocious. I don't know if you guys remember. There's quite a few drivers that had incidents. I think a Mustang did a kickflip.
Jim Guthrie.
Yeah, I mean, Daigo went in, Chelsea went in. They actually put tires in the area that I crashed, but I feel like saved maybe a few cars. But yeah, it was just, it was an atrocious track.
It was terrible.
I was one of the first ones to bite it hard, which, sucks for me.
Well, I'm glad you're still with us.
Yeah, same here.
What's going on with the livery this year? Are you going to be going to the same Odi orange, green, white stuff, or are you going wild?
You guys will see it pretty soon. I'm kind of just gonna bite my tongue on it and see what people say when they see the car.
What FD driver do you think has the least attractive livery this year? What's the ugliest car you've seen revealed so far?
Man, I don't think we've seen those cars yet. Everything that I've seen is kind of like predictable, right? I'm kind of waiting for someone to just come out with something that just
break them
blows
all.
Everyone's mind, maybe in a good way. Some people, they might not like what they see at all. I think we just haven't seen it yet.
Corey's car is going to be flesh colored, completely flesh colored and veiny.
Yeah, sponsored by Fleshlight.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm running the Fleshlight decal down the side.
oh, that's a good sponsor.
Yeah,
Corey, what's going on with your deal? Like, I hear you kind of hinting at, driving. When are we going to know?
Corey's getting called out right now.
Yeah, no, it's fine because I actually just kind of finalized most of my schedule. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to be having the car finished by probably the end of this month to the early stages of May. And I'm going to miss the first 2 rounds of Pro 2 because I'm going to do I'll probably do Top Drift, Southwest Drift. I'm going to do some stuff at Pikes Peak International. I'm going to do some demos and stuff with the car just to kind of get it dialed in. And then we're going to do the debut at FD Pro 2 Texas and FD Pro 2 Phoenix.
Why do you hate Atlanta and Orlando?
Do you know what? Just because the rain. I don't like the rain. And I got yelled at one time for running around in my Speedos in the pits, and they didn't appreciate that. My friend Dustin pooped in a urinal. They didn't like that either.
So you're acting like you got like other stuff going on, but you're really just banned from the track?
No, actually, Atlanta's my favorite track. Atlanta's totally my favorite track.
Except when you drive against ESSA.
Yeah, except when I have that redemption against ESSA. The other thing, too, that I want to talk about for 1 second is I wanted to do a special segment called Story Time with Odi. I kind of mentioned this prior on another episode about Odi when we were in Pikes Peak and you drove a simulator.
Oh, yeah.
Can you give me the quick...
Take us
take
back
us through
to
that whole
memory lane.
experience?
Okay, so you just want me to tell what exactly happened there, right?
We've already heard Corey's side of the story.
Yeah, let's pick it up where we decided to go out that night and we go to this like car bar club thing.
Yeah.
Let's see how much Corey was lying about it.
Yeah, let's kind of
hear
get
just your side of the story.
Corey, what did we eat before that? I don't remember.
I think
Hot
like
dogs.
4 or 5 beers.
That's it.
Oh, we had food. I just don't remember because I don't. Well, what do you remember? What it was?
I didn't get a good look afterwards.
Okay. Yeah. So we went into this, lounge bar / thing with a bunch of cool car stuff. Everyone was kind of tired, probably borderline bored, and there was a simulator that was like super intense and it moved around and like it was like just. That thing was probably $60,000 or something like that.
Easy, yeah, because it was Pikes Peak weekend and we were out there doing that drift event, and so it was like the most unreal simulator of what it would be like driving up Pikes Peak. So it was a Pikes Peak hill climb simulator, from what I remember.
Okay, so when you sit in it, it's supposed to feel like you're driving a real car. Like it has the motions of you turning, body roll, braking. If you like go off the road or hit a guardrail, it kind of does its thing and shakes. So apparently I was like, sweet, this is going to feel like I'm driving a normal car and hopped in it. I stood in line. We all stood in line a little bit because everyone was stoked about it. So I got in it and I don't remember. I think it was like halfway through going up the actual Pikes Peak Mountain. I just started to feel like, dude, I don't feel super good. I was like, but this is a lot of fun. So I just kept going and I basically made myself super sick on this freaking simulator. Felt like I was stuck on a boat for 2 hours. Like I don't know. I just started feeling like crap. Got off the thing, and we were just kind of hanging out. And dude, I just felt sick to my stomach. Like even 10 minutes after that. And on the way out, I had to excuse myself from Corey. And, we right before getting in the car, dude, I just threw up whatever the hell I ate earlier that day, and wasted some, I guess, a few beers that we had before that as well. But yeah, so I think there was something wrong with that simulator.
Yeah,
Corey.
it was a broken simulator.
Yep.
Have you driven the actual Pikes Peak?
No, I have not. But now maybe I'm gonna throw up all over myself if I drive up.
Gonna have a flashback.
Maybe
Well, I was.
that road.
You remember I was holding your hair back, and I got you some wet towels, and I was giving you like a back rub during the whole thing, and just had to take care of my little ode. You know, had to take care
girls
of the
night
ode
out.
skis. It was some girls' night on the town. and it was
He
me
got
and Odie.
white girl wasted.
Yeah, so that's how we roll, I guess. Yeah, the gross part was when we got in the minivan to drive back. It was like a bunch of us, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm glad that's over." And then I think I crossed my legs, and I put one of my feet kind of like next to the dash. I don't remember if it was Corey or if it was Jared. They're like, "Oh, Odi!"
Oh,
it was like
no.
a little bit of vomit on my shoe. And
Sounds like Jared.
He had
everyone out. It was awful.
He had shitty vomit shoes all over the van.
It's the worst.
Respect the van.
I would
Yeah.
probably thrown up right there. I'm one of those people that the second I see someone throwing up, I want to throw up. I'm like one of those chain throw up
Just
people.
contagious.
Yeah, but it was a ton of fun. It was just, yeah,
Just one of
kind
those
of
things.
Nice.
awkward situation, man. I don't know.
It was awesome.
We gotta try out a simulator again. And
I'm
see what
too
happens.
afraid.
I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But the funny part about simulators too is like we were talking how like I am okay at driving, but I'm terrible at car simulators, mostly because they don't move. Like I'm a reactionary driver. Like I have to feel the
lack the
G-force
feedback.
to like know how to drive like in a game. So that car simulator had the feedback, I guess, but maybe it wasn't exactly how your brain is tuned to feel that feedback on the road. I'm kind of trying to think of what makes a professional driver throw up in a simulator, because you
who knows?
feel extreme G's all the time, but
Yeah, but they feel natural and like
Yeah.
you like expect it. So it was weird.
Definitely
I
hard to
do
simulate reality.
Get that on like a long boat ride that's just like not like a power boat, but something that's flowing, like seasick, like going out to the ocean and stuff.
What are you watching on Netflix right now?
On while you're driving your car.
No, not like the second.
Oh.
Just like what are you watching in general? What interests you?
Are you a Game of Thrones kind of guy, or are you a House of Cards kind of guy?
Did we lose him? Did he go in a tunnel?
No, he's
Oh.
Oh, we lost him. All
What
right.
the hell?
Well, I'm glad he's gone because this interview was going to freaking
I just asked
hell.
him what he watches on Netflix, but
God, that didn't last very long.
did you go through a tunnel?
No, I'm actually driving through an area that I apologize if I lose you guys again. There's,
Yeah, we were just getting to the
mountain.
highlight of the show. Actually, we're getting to the heavy questions.
The real
here.
heavy question.
Go ahead, Sam. Tell him again.
What's your favorite show to watch on Netflix?
Man, it's actually cheesy. cheesy.
Uh-oh.
My wife sucked me into this. It's a show called White Collar.
White collar?
White power?
White.
Whoa.
The reception is a little bit bad, so you could have said white power, and we're gonna assume you did say white power. Is that?
Oh wow.
Is that
So,
Matt's brother?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Matt
Starring
Powers.
White Powers.
This is my brother, White. So what was that again?
The show is called White Collar.
Oh, there it is.
Not Power.
Oh.
Okay.
Is that like a spin-off from Mad Men?
No, I don't know. It's like a con man that gets out of jail and is freaking working with the FBI type of thing.
Well, thanks for spoiling it for everybody listening. Thanks. Okay. So here, we got Odi. You're obviously known as like the setup wizard. And I even asked you plenty of times, hey, Odi, can you eventually help me set up my S14? Because you are literally the wizard when it comes to this stuff. Give us a little rundown on Feel, your suspension company, and give us maybe some explanation of like why setup's so important.
Well, first, thanks for mentioning it like that. I don't think wizard is the right term or anything, but
He's expecting a paycheck, by the way.
trying super hard. But Steel Suspension is the brand that I run, and we basically set up coilovers for all types of discipline of driving. So meaning someone could send in their coilovers, and if their car's not working, we will throw their shocks on the dyno, see where the shortcomings are. We'll revalve the shock.
If I bring in my minivan, can you make it an actually good drift car?
Dude, we'll hook you up. Yeah.
Okay. I'll drive by one of those days.
Sorry, Odi, but go ahead. What were you saying?
Before Paco asked for free things, go on.
I wasn't asking for free.
Yeah. So we're in the business of making shocks work better. And then in the past, I'd say 3 years, we introduced our own line of shocks. So they're Steel Suspension branded shocks. And we have a killer setup for drift cars because that's something I'm super passionate about, and always developing that product. And it's been going really well. There's, a few guys that we are working with this year, and we're trying to step up and advertise a little more so more people know about it. And that's kind of the gist of it.
What makes your suspension better? Why is your R&D, why is your setup knowledge better than everyone else's?
Well, I didn't jump in and just start making shocks and trying to make a quick buck. It's something that I started this company just by tuning suspension, which means we have to go. At first, it was a motocross suspension company, so I got a lot of background into shock tuning by going to the track and testing with pro riders, getting feedback from them. Just like that method alone taught me so much about suspension tuning. Going to the track all the time and gathering data, and then revaluing the shock. We had a mobile shock. So basically, at the track, I was able to make these changes. So like that background it gave me like the head, I guess, up to tune shocks a little bit better than some of these companies that might only be in the business of selling shocks, but they don't really do the R&D behind. And then obviously through racing, rally, drifting, learning a lot while doing this, and I'm applying it all to the product that we're selling. So it's just a lot of brands don't really do that. They're kind of solely in the business of putting their name on a product and ducking it out there to the marketplace.
A lot of drivers, when we talk to them about what they suggest someone modify first on their stock S14 or stock any car for that matter that they want to turn into a drift car, a lot of them surprisingly say, at least surprisingly to me, say coilovers is like one of the first things. Would you agree? And if so, why is that?
Yeah, because honestly, if you have proper suspension on a car, you're not going to form that habit of driving in an awkward way. It's really important to make sure the car actually handles well. So that comes, I feel like, before maybe up in horsepower, obviously before worrying about aesthetics on the car and stuff like that. It's kind of like the fundamentals of, any high-performance car. You got to make sure that the thing's handling properly before you can develop yourself as a driver and develop the rest of the car. I'm a little biased about that because that's what I pay so much attention to on all my cars, and I feel like it's super important.
Well, and that's the other thing to that too, Odi. A lot of people, will order a pair of aftermarket shocks and coilovers, and then they will just constantly adjust spring rates without adjusting the valving internally in the shock. And I think one thing that Feel does is they build the shock to the spring rate, which people don't realize. That's a huge difference. And I think that's one thing that Feel does extremely well is making sure that you build a setup that works with the valving internally, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a little more complicated than just valving the shock to the spring rate. And I think we're able to really help the guys that are serious about drifting because, take, for instance, an S14. Someone's got an S14. They call me. They start telling me they're going to run the X size tire. And we pick their brain a little more. Like, hey, if they're running a ton of anti-squat in the car, we might have to go really low on spring rate and a little bit heavier on valving. So sometimes it gets tricky, and it's, not just matching the valving to the spring rate, but I feel like that's where, we can really help, because we've kind of been testing a lot of this stuff for a while, and we found a lot of neat data that I think traditional suspension companies don't really discover. Honestly, a lot of suspension companies aren't putting that much emphasis into drifting in general, which, is changing, but
They just have like a one-size-fits-all application and don't custom tune them to drift, you'd say?
yeah, for the most part, that's what I've been finding. So, I definitely love what I'm doing, and it's a ton of fun, and every time you find out that cool little edge, it's really rewarding. So, yeah, I definitely go visit fieldsuspension.com.
Absolutely. Hey, dude, real quick, if you could just give a very short explanation, can you explain the importance of matching valving to spring rate? Just if you could sum it up just real quick.
Sure. If your spring rate is not matched to the valving, the car will have all kinds of weird. I'm trying to dumb it down in a short, concise way, but the car will throw you for a loop. It'll handle so awkwardly that it sometimes is worse than just having OEM stock suspension. You could really sabotage basically the ride quality or the performance of the car if your spring rate and valving are completely polar opposites.
So if I, just like a random non-competitive drifter, wanted to buy a set of fuel coilovers, so does someone just go to the website and buy them and I put them on the car and they work for my application, or how does that work? Do you consult with people?
No,
You
could do that as a consumer, but we always encourage people that are building a drift car from ground up. So, meaning that they're going to probably put a motor in it that's not found in the car. They're probably going to shift weight around, maybe throw knuckles on the car that are going to drastically change the geometry of the car. If you're doing any of those things, we encourage you to call in and tell us what you're doing. Because if you have like Driftworks knuckles or Y-Stab knuckles, all of that makes a pretty big difference the way we set up the shock. Sometimes as big of a difference as what length of shock we're going to sell you, because all those components require a fairly unique setup.
So one thing I've actually never gotten answered, really, because you're the only one that I've seen run such an extreme rake, is why do you set up like such a big rake on your S14? And rake, if I'm not mistaken, is the balance of front to back as far as on the lateral plane, how high or low the car is set up. So Odi's car, I've always noticed, it looks like the back end is very squat and the front end is kind of high up. What is the relevance of running that in your FD S14?
That car is actually set up to sit the same height front and rear. It's actually neutral while it's sitting on the ground. If you could take measures from the pinch welds. But what happens is, me as a driver, I prefer cars that transfer weight easily, so we alter the links in the rear to take a lot of anti-squat out. So it's, what that means is when I get on throttle, the suspension has very little resistance to transferring weight over the back of the car. So that's why in photos and videos you see the car sitting reverse.
Yeah.
And that's just my personal preference as a driver. I always like cars that give me a lot of feedback when I'm getting on throttle, and it allows me to kind of be in tune of where the weight of the car is shifting. And I got so used to driving like that. Yeah,
it's interesting, the whole brownie pan theory that I always hear drivers talking about. Where's the water in the pan? Because I never really even thought about the fact that maybe it wasn't tuned like that from the get-go. It's just that's just how your car is set up to move when it's under power. We have a couple questions from the internet for you.
Odi, we have a couple questions. One from our buddy Paul Cosma. He's asking, who is your favorite driver to battle or tandem with?
Well, Matt Field is really fun to drive with, but honestly, we've battled too many times, and they all result in a one more time. So I'm kind of over it. But, it was definitely a blast every time we did it. It seems to me that I just have a really good time, even though it's super important for me to win, but I kind of almost especially on the one more time battle, like after you run once and it's such a sick run, the second time around, I like kind of put that winning part aside and just really appreciate the moment. And that's why this sport's so fun. I still feel like that when I get in the car.
Well, I'll tell you one of my most memorable tandem battles of you, I think last year, was it you in Yokoy, New Jersey?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was one of my favorite battles of the year, by the way.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite too. Unfortunately, I ended up losing that one, but it was.
Never mind, I fucking hate it, and I'm gonna email Yokoy to tell him to stop drifting forever.
Yeah, that was a good one, man.
Who would you say is your nemesis? Who's your kryptonite? Who have you lost more to than won against, and who would you like to beat in the future?
Osbo is someone that I lost to numerous times, and I felt like I took myself out one of the first times we battled, and then there was always all kinds of issues that came up that I couldn't win. So that's a battle that I think will always kind of be important to me until I actually win against that dude.
What do you think it is about driving with him? Is it that your styles don't match up? Is it you psych yourself out mentally because he's such a hard driver? What happens?
No, I think it's a number of variables, but nothing drastic like that where like styles don't match. It's they've got a really dialed program, and he's just one of those drivers that's pretty tough to beat, and he's had a few mechanical failures when I follow him, and I wasn't able to adapt when those things happen. So, those were kind of the variables, I guess.
Yeah, understandable. Another question. This one from a guy named Matt Beardmore, not less beard. He's got more of it. Great. If FD had a power limit of, say, 500 horsepower, do you think people would respect it more? Some have referred to Formula Drift as sideways drag racing.
Yeah, obviously those people that criticize the sport for that would like that a lot. But then on the flip side, you got probably, 80% of the audience that just want to see freaking 2,000 horsepower if they could see it going ahead. So, I think it's appealing to the masses at this point.
Having the lower horsepower car last year, like I know a lot of drivers are now dealing with a very real problem of running out of tires before the end of their second battle or second run in a battle. Did you contend with that so much, or were you still good to go on tires no matter how hard you drove by the end of battle 2?
I'd say I had more, I had more tire left on my car after the second run than most other drivers.
Yeah, so worrying about that aspect wasn't really a big deal. That wasn't part of your things to measure in your head. You could just drive balls out and not have to worry.
Yep, exactly. And there's a couple of tracks that we had that issue, but it was manageable. It was, totally manageable. We would adjust, the wheel speed of the car a little bit, and it was totally under control.
Do you see future division of maybe classes in FD or other drifting organizations where maybe there is a more limited class? And if you do see that, would you participate in that?
Yeah, I'd love to see that, and I would be, I think, one of the first people that would jump on board to the more restricted class. To be honest, I love driving. I am quite over trying to develop a freaking more powerful car season after season.
Yeah.
It just adds more complexity to the sport, to my program, to everyone else's program. So it'd be great, if there was like a sealed motor class type of thing. But I feel like this is all just fairy tales for now. So we still to develop the sport a whole lot more.
You're still, I know superchargers add heat and complexity to motors, and you said you're running a supercharger in your Genesis. Are you worried at all about reliability and heat with that?
Well, certainly about all those aspects, and it just makes it so the program's more expensive to run, right? Because now we have to maybe tear down the motor halfway through the season for preventative maintenance instead of on my Nissan, we beat the piss out of it all season long and then do numerous demos after the season, and the thing's still going strong because it's not as high strung.
Just out of curiosity, just so if Ryan Sage is listening in the future, if they were to start like a 500 horsepower max league, Would you be able to run? This is all just like off the top of my head thinking. Would you be able to run like your S14 in the 500 horsepower class over the weekend and still run the Genesis, or is that just too expensive for a driver?
That's probably too tough for a driver. But I would, be very excited to know that I could run a more affordable, less stressful program and be on the same spotlight as, give the same spotlight to all my sponsors that we currently have.
Depends a lot on the sponsors.
Yeah.
Probably.
Cool.
What's that?
Paco said it depends a lot on the sponsors if they want to be in multiple programs or if they want to be in a limited class program. Cause
you were traveling all over the world last year, right?
Yeah, I got to go a few places for sure.
he went to a place or two. Where are you going with that, Paco?
Are you going to be traveling this year as well?
No, he's staying at home.
Thank you, Sam Bakchis.
Yeah, I'd like to go and traveling is like my number 2 hobby. So every time I get a chance, I go somewhere. I'm going to try to squeeze in a few trips this year as well.
So are you doing anything else other than Formula Drift? Like being a guest driver somewhere else, or just, doing any other kind of series, maybe anything?
As of now, there's nothing set in stone, but I really enjoy going to Europe. I love being there, drifting scene there.
You could totally be an Irish drift champion.
What's that?
You could totally fit like in the Irish drift championship.
Why?
Yeah, we've dabbled with that.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm saying joking aside,
Yeah.
Paco's known for being the racist one on the show, which is kind of ironic because he's from Mexico. But go on, Paco, with your slanted jokes.
No, I just said it.
All right, you know what? I think I got the last question here.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to think about this one.
Yeah, Corey.
I've actually been sitting here very quiet for a long time, running every scenario through my head. So, Odi, this is my toughest question I have to date.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Odi, I'm going to put you in a scenario, okay? And I need you to tell me how you feel you would do. All right? So let's say this. Okay. Let's say I put you in a stock Miata, okay, with some drift mods. How would you do against the rest of the field in Formula Drift if they were driving the same car?
On battles.
In battles.
I think that would be a blast, and I think I'd do okay.
Confidence.
Wow.
Actually, really, like you're saying, the rest of the field would be in the same type of vehicle, right?
Same
Yeah.
one. Yep,
Everybody.
all spec.
Stock spec Miatas.
Yeah. So you'd have like a spec class with a horrible wheelbase that's super short.
Sure.
And like dog shit slow car. Okay. Yeah.
Just say you'd fucking win. Just say you'll win. How would you do, you think?
I would do pretty well.
You'd
Corey.
fucking win. Thanks. See, you guys, I told you. I didn't have to.
You think you can beat Danny George on his own game?
Oh boy. Then the reason why Corey was acting so coy about this question is someone asked us at the start of the show who we think would win this type of driving, and Corey said you would win that. So it's good to know that you are not saying you would lose.
That,
Yeah, Paco and Sam said Forsberg, and I said, okay, fuck you guys. Watch Odi come in.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that, Corey.
Yep, and that's the thing, Odi. You've always been one of my favorite drivers on and off the track, and
you look good on the track, off the track,
on the track, off the track. You're definitely you're one of those dudes that even though you're kind of quiet in front of the camera, you're a beast on the track. And
Corey
we totally
wants to
respect
know
that.
if your whole family thing doesn't work out, if you'd be interested in living with him sometime in the future.
Oh man, yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate the kind words for sure.
Any plugs? Any shout outs you want to throw out into the universe?
I feel like this is a show that's kind of, I don't know, just natural and cool. So
Absolutely.
I don't know, honestly,
Your mistake.
just if any of my buddies that are helping me out in this off season are listening, obviously appreciate all the insane work that we've been putting in the car. This shit takes so much work that most regular people don't really want to deal with. Most normal people.
Right.
So you got to keep this in your head for sure.
Odi,
Thanks to the guys for helping me out.
Before you go, real quick question. Since you're pretty much known like as the master of setting up a car. You know, you're capable of doing what you've been doing with 600 horses, with just like a perfect dial suspension. Have you thought of like teaming up with somebody, or even like just like tuning suspension wise, tuning for somebody else's on an FD? Have you been approached to or something? Are you kind of like thinking of teaming up with somebody?
You know, I've been approached and I've helped out drivers that are kind of coming up the ranks with just suspension setup and then coming out to make sure everything's working well and a little bit of coaching. So you'll see some drivers that have, you know, there's a driver that's running Pro 2 that I helped out just very briefly. I've had the pleasure of working with Alex Honendale a little bit. This was over a year ago. I'm not taking much credit for it at all because it was very brief, like, you know, flew out just initial setup, maybe gave some pointers. You know, Alex Hilbrand is getting some support from my company this season.
Nice.
And that guy's naturally talented, but I think with proper shocks, you know, that guy's going to be a rocket ship. So
Nice.
I'm exploring those. I mean, honestly, doing what I can with the amount of time that I have. So, that stuff's fun to me. So, yeah.
We can't wait to see the Genesis out and it's fully, or at least developed up to the point where you're ready to release it. Forum in Long Beach next week. And yeah, kick ass until then. Good luck with all your final prep.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for the chat.
All right, Odi. Thanks again. Talk to you soon, my man. See you in Long Beach.
Later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good night, buddy.
Bye.
See ya.
Have a good one.
Paco said good night because you're probably going to go to sleep. Since
I
it's only
just
2
don't even
o'clock.
care about the time right now, man. I'm hangover. I'm tired. I want to go back to bed. This is stupid. I'm out. Well, maybe I'm not.
Come on, Paco.
You know what?
Don't be.
I thought I was gonna do like the thing that we usually do after we get off the phone with drivers, where I'm like, "Oh, fuck, that guy's so stupid. I hate him so much." Blah 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 blah. I thought I was gonna do that, but today, you know, I'm not. Like, I really hate this guy.
This is coming from the heart.
Yeah, like from the heart. Like this guy is. I was dreading talking to him before I even talked to him, and then, you know, at the beginning I was like, "Oh, great to talk to you." That was a lie. That's called acting because I'm pretty good at that.
You did really good.
This is not acting. That guy. So stupid. It's like his face is dumb. Turn your phone on vibrate. God damn it.
No, but the thing was we knew going into this, like, dude, he's not going to talk much. It's going to be wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Let's get this shit over with and move on.
He's all about
Total fucking
money.
opposite.
He's all about
I set up
fame
cars.
and glory.
I'm a god.
And
I'm a drift god. I set up cars perfectly.
He kept on being like, since I'm the master of suspension, this is what I think. And we're like, all right, guy, calm down calling
You're
yourself.
Driftcast stupid.
Stop calm down with calling yourself the master of suspension all the time, you know?
Yep.
yeah, I was kind of bullshit, but whatever.
Do you guys want to, let's get into these other,
We have a couple
we
extra
got a couple more
questions.
comments, and then we're actually going to,
Yeah, do you know what? Since this is like a special day for us,
why is it special?
because it's Sunday.
Sunday Fun Day.
Sunday Fun Day.
Yep.
Should we make this episode a little bit longer than usual?
No.
Or? Well, we only have about 10 minutes left.
I don't care.
Yeah, well, let's do our quick comments because we only
because
did
we have
comment.
one more special short guest.
Yeah, we do a special
It needs to
guest.
happen today.
Let's talk to that dog right after this hot moment, as long as you can wait a minute, right?
Let's get this question done real quick,
Yeah,
maybe.
he can wait.
Well, you get that.
All our fans are gonna be like, I'm gonna fight fucking Sam now because I want another 15 minutes.
Yeah, we're
out
gonna
of it.
get another 15 minutes. I'm just being coy
I hope
about
in
it.
Long Beach
Corey,
somebody's gonna be like,
Corey,
I listened to the Driftcast, and Sam, since you wanted to cut it short, why don't you stand there and spread your legs so I can uppercut your balls?
someone I think last week told me to stop fucking interrupting Corey. Someone, did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
That was good. No, what this is called showmanship, Corey. You wouldn't know anything about that, Mister. Like, I just drive cars. I don't care about media.
Okay, here, my name's Sam Driftity. Watch my videos on YouTube, and yeah, I'll give you pointers and stuff. Yeah, fuck you.
What the
Yeah,
hell
sometimes-
is going on here?
Sometimes words hurt. What I was saying is that showmanship, Corey, what we're going to do is I'm going to be like, no, we're not going to go over time. And then people are going to be like, oh, no, they're going to stop the show now. And then, boom, 15 more minutes.
Boom! Dropping
Hey,
the bomb right there.
Seriously,
with the
everything I
extra
just said,
shit.
I take it back. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, too.
I'm sorry. I don't want to.
On this day-
I hate arguing with you.
On this day of Sunday. I'm so upset about this. So we're going to do 2 more viewer comments from last week. And this one's for me. Oh, wow.
What?
Me, thank you. Power Mode TV says,
On the YouTubes.
says, Sam, how has your editing evolved since Young Drift Idiot? And how does media affect FD? Great podcast. Sam and Corey are cool. Paco, you're growing on me. First of all, power mode TV. I know exactly what you mean.
Paco's like a herpy.
Whoa! I'm totally growing.
Just growing.
God, that's gonna be on the back of the
like
DVD
a
box.
bad disease.
On the back of the DVD box with like the screen pull, the quotes. Paco is like a herpy, Corey.
2 thumbs up, Siskel and Ebert.
Just one herpy, not herpes. One
Oh,
herpy.
Paco, unlock your phone again. Unlock your mystery phone. I want to look at that question again. So, how has my editing evolved since Young drifted it? Number one, I'd like to think that my videos suck a lot less. That's what I'd like to hope. Because the first video I just shot with the GoPro entirely, one GoPro Hero 2, and so I'd like to think they got better. So most of all, I'd say my video equipment has improved. I now have a lot more stuff, and that helps a lot. And 2, I have a lot more experience. That's literally the secret to becoming, I think, somewhat successful in the world is experience and a lot of money and equipment. And then if you can tell a story too, that does help. I wish my co-hosts weren't just looking at their phones and they could like reply. Guys,
Your videos still are awesome. Well, you're saying it's like it got way more equipment.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
No. Like, think about this. It's like in drifting, people's like, you need tons of money to be a good drifter. You need to get it. It's the fucking same thing for video guys.
Well, yeah, you don't need tons of money. I think just like drifting is that there's a ceiling for how far you can go without a shit ton of money. All right, so to camera nerd a little bit, the first show I did at Forming the Drift, which was the Drift Chronicles, which was just my way to get out at FD and just be out there, was self-funded, paid for it out of pocket, made no money, and had a little bit of support actually from Hooniverse, Jeff. Thank you very much, Jeff. But that didn't even pay for plane tickets and all that. So I was out there out of my own pocket, and I was using just literally one camera, a Canon 5D Mark II, and like one lens, a 24-70.
And a helper.
And Paco did help actually a couple times. And then I rented a lens. You helped a lot. You helped a lot. And one lens, a 70-200 Canon that I rented because I couldn't afford to buy it. So like when you say you have to have a bunch of expensive equipment, no. But like audio kind of sucked because we used like a boom mic, a regular mic, pretending that it was a boom mic, and I didn't know what I was doing, of course, with any of that stuff.
That's a bunch of bullshit.
But we tried to do cool stuff, and we asked weird questions, and we made an okay show, I think. And then, what's up?
I was gonna say on top of that, in every video that me and you did,
was cool.
was with one camera.
Yeah, it's all with one camera, like none of this 3 camera.
And those
bullshit.
those are still some of the most viewed videos on your channel. Was the ones when you were the most bare bones.
Back when people still gave a shit about what I did.
My favorite video is probably the Sabotage music video.
Yeah, and that was the second year and the end of the show Drift Chronicles I did was the music video for Sabotage, Beastie Boys Sabotage, where we I literally wrote down every single shot in the music video of Sabotage and thought about Beastie Boys Sabotage, and I thought about how to recreate that in the drift world. Line by line, shot by shot, and I think we ended up shooting like 110 of like the 180 shots of that video related to drift shit. So that's cool. So that's one progression. Started giving a shit more there. Then in the last year, everything's grown exponentially. I started buying a lot more stuff to try to look more professional, like the other dudes out there that look professional.
You just didn't know how to use it. Like you'd pull it out of your bag, like you're hanging out with your friends. You pull it out, and you're like, oh,
that's true. I didn't know. I mean,
and everybody would look and be like, oh my god, Sam got that DSL 570 with the white frame.
Well, I didn't
on
know.
it.
Like when I first got the camera recording this with the video portion of Panasonic GH4, like I didn't even know how to use it at all when I first got it. I just thought that it was a camera that everyone was saying was good. I needed a second camera. I wasn't even sure it was going to look as good as my like 10-year-old 5D Mark II, but it looks 20 times better. And it does slow-mo and does 4K and all that stuff. Right now we're shooting on a brand new 4K recorder that I just used to shoot the Vaughn video, and I'm going to shoot FD with this year. So yeah, you upgrade your equipment as you get better, as you start seeing limitations of your craft. And right now, my big thing right now is to just try to get better, like always. I want to be more professional. I want to get better shit. Like still, I want to get a red cam in the next year, maybe, and take out a small car loan.
That's a mortgage right there.
But the biggest thing I can grow with is just again spending more time doing video stuff. So the moral of the story, if you want to be successful at anything, whether it be driving cars or shooting video or taking pictures, is do it a lot and max out your equipment. And then when you've maxed out your equipment, hopefully you're then making a little bit of money, and you just keep on upgrading and get more money and upgrade. And so
do you stay broke because you keep buying new stuff?
Pretty much, yeah. No joke. That's like what it is. It's like I will get like a couple G's in the bank account, and it's like, cool, I need quote unquote, I want to improve this aspect of my field, my mat field, and then I'll buy like a new high end piece. The good part about like things like lenses, like glass, is
I
those
don't know where to buy glass.
They
It's
don't-
illegal here.
they don't change really. So you can spend like $2,000 on a lens, and that lens is going to be a sweet ass lens for the rest of your life. Whereas camera bodies, like that stuff all gets outdated in years.
Yeah, I would love to be a photographer for a weekend at FD and just like pull out all this really good equipment. Like, this thing's shit. And throw it away. And be like, no, this one's garbage too.
You know that Lindsay Lohan movies?
I love Lindsay Lohan movies.
Sister, whatever.
Sister Act with Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, the Whooper Goldberg. The one where they switch places because they look identical. You and I look pretty close, so maybe one weekend.
Yeah.
At FD, like I'll drive your car and you can take the videos, and no one will be the wiser.
No one will notice.
Corey, you got a thing?
I have
for
a
us?
question
Paco
over here.
does
So,
one. I think I might.
one more question.
Cool.
From,
Let's just make a 3-hour show. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's Sunday. Fuck it. So you have Jake Miller from the YouTubes. He is asking. So there was a thing on Facebook that Daigo Saito isn't in Formula Drift anymore.
Yeah,
is that true?
Well, apparently what he did is he read all the haters on the internet and he's like, you know what, they're right. I should stop competing.
I know. It's just like I have the most ridiculous cars out there.
Yeah. Well,
I should just quit.
He just got tired of people making fun of him on the internet, and like, you know, we hope that you guys are happy.
He's a crowd pleaser, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
No, in all joking aside, you
don't
probably heard it first on Wrecked magazine.
Welcome to Wrecked Magazine, the podcast version.
The podcast,
kind of
sponsored by Joey Redmond.
Hey, Joey.
Hi,
I
Joey.
hope Joey listens to us, and
Yeah, he better start listening to it.
I don't think he does.
Well,
I think we should come out with like either a book or like a magazine after each episode. We just take everything we say and put it into a.
That's a really good idea.
So it could be
Drift Magazine.
Yeah, so you can go to the bathroom and read up.
Yeah.
So when you're going either option number 1 or option number 2, you can catch up on everything Sam and Paco and I
I'm
discussed.
kind of a third option kind of guy.
Oh, are you? Rest in peace.
So anyway, yeah, we talked a little bit about it on the last episode, and it's all confirmed. You know, Daigo
Taco's out.
Yep, he moved with Wan Lee tires. Was it Chun Li?
Which is it's a Chinese or Korean brand.
Ching Chong? I think it's
Oh
Chinese.
Jesus,
Paco with this racist
Oh
stuff.
my god.
No, joking aside, I believe it's a Chinese brand.
The craziest part is I think I actually had Wingley tires on like
Wingley?
my Ford Probe.
Did you?
Oh, you
Oh,
did?
the
Yeah,
infamous.
Oh, so it's been a while.
It's been a while. I had
Been a while.
I bought like poser wheels online, and they like came with free tires. That was the deal. Like you buy the wheels online, they come with the tires, and I think they were like
The internet's gonna shit on you so hard.
one of my Ford
Shitting.
Probe GT.
I can't believe you put
Welcome to-
knockoff wheels on a Probe.
Shitting on Wan Lee.
The internet is cool because instead of buying rotas for my WRX, I bought actual work wheels.
You brought Lotus.
No, I literally
copy
had
of the
like
copy.
$1,600 in my bank account at the time when I was 18, and I was like, well, do I spend $800 on the fake wheels, or do I spend like $2,200 and take out like a small credit card to buy like the real ones? I was like, well, I can't have the kids at the car show making fun of me. I better go broke and eat ramen for the next month by buying work wheels.
Well, you know what happened is that the car should be like, can you believe that fucking moron put work wheels on a Probe? What an idiot.
They
They were like a lose-lose,
Talking about the
Samuel.
WRX dummy.
They weren't making
Oh, I thought you were
fun
talking
of
about your Probe
Yeah,
still.
I thought
No.
you were talking about the Probe.
Sorry.
Like, nobody's
Sorry,
gonna make fun of
listeners,
you
that
because
joke
of the
went to
wheels on your
garbage.
Probe. They're gonna make
No.
fun of you because of the
the
Probe.
Probe looks sick as shit.
I love Probes.
I wish you
by
had
the
You
the
way.
would,
Probe.
you
For
would
the
love,
record.
you would love Ford Probes.
Yeah. KLZ.
Hey.
For the people who knows Probes.
Yep.
Yeah. So Daigo is getting sponsored by Wan Lee.
Yeah.
Apparently, he gets sponsored exclusively. So that means he can't have another tire sponsor at the
Right.
same time. So since Wan Lee is not an official Formula Drift sponsor, he can't run FD because he can't have Wan Lee tires on. Which brings it to so what's gonna happen with the GTR that he just built for the last
I
season?
hope Wan Lee makes monster truck tires and he fucking goes off roading a Bigfoot and Gravedigger.
I would like
There
that.
you
That'd
go.
be pretty cool. And the American Psycho Daigo Saito and the GTR monster truck.
I like the Psycho.
Saito.
Daigo Psycho.
Daigo Psycho.
Corey, you have some questions.
Yeah, actually, if you guys remember from last week, Paco mentioned something about the Lone Star qualifying platform and how they are completely removing qualifying and using this new tandem battle structure to rank their top 16, top 32 competitors.
So it's very, very revolutionary, new idea in drifting, and we talked about it without an educated opinion so much as to what it was. And the creator of the format, or one of the creators,
I think it's called the Jager
Jaeger.
system.
Yeah, like the sweet Japanese mech.
Yeah.
Well, as they mentioned in that video that we posted on our Facebook page, Maximum Driftcast, Aaron Losey gave
That's
the
Maximum Drift Cats, by the way.
Driftcast.
No, it's
Is that what you think cats
Mimosa.
I imagine them playing like a flute or some sort of instrument. But so that qualifying platform actually came from Australia from a lad named Chris DeJager.
It's not a lad, it's a mate.
It's a mate.
It's
sorry.
a mate.
And
well, he listened to the podcast and he was like, "You guys are fucking morons.
Yeah.
You don't know anything. I would love to get on there and explain." And we're like, "Do you know what? It would be a treat."
Allow me. I'm fluent in Australia, and he probably said, "You cunts are a bunch of dickheads."
You Yanks are a bunch of dickies.
that sounds about right.
Well,
But yeah, he said that we kind of got it right, but we sounded just like everyone else that hates on it, and he wanted to talk to us about it, and we figured that let's talk to him about it.
and he made the worst decision of his life by giving us his phone number. So after this, from here on out, we're going to text random memes.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably going to text him.
Call him.
we should subscribe him to
let's
like
tell him
all kinds of
let's see what happens
porn
here.
delivery.
Let's see. It's a cat ringtone I just got.
Really? Did my girlfriend really just throw a cat in the room?
We have a cat situation going on.
Let's see what happens. Oh,
Up.
Hello, Chris speaking.
Oh, wow, that was
the proper
interesting.
answering. Chris, what's
Hi, Chris.
Hey, what's going on?
up? Well, we're sitting here with Paco, Tofu Drift Van, Sam Nalven, Drift Idiot,
Hi.
and myself,
Yes.
Corey Hosford. And we were actually just mentioning last week, we were mentioning the whole qualifying / tandem platform, and we sounded like a bunch of idiots. And we said, do you know what? We got to reach out to the creator, the Lord, the Savior.
We have to dig deep into the Jaeger system.
And let's have him call us idiots personally, live.
I'm going to try and refrain from doing that straight away.
Thank you.
There's no point burning you too quickly, but we'll ease into it.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Chris, real quick. Can you kind of give us just a brief background on you and what you've done in the drifting community, and then kind of segue into
Who are you, Chris? Tell us.
So I guess the best way to put it is I'm either those that know me know that I've done a lot of drifting in Japan, and I used to live over there with Team Orange and Power Vehicles. So I was working for Power Vehicles and being trained by Team Orange. And I did put a few videos out then, and if anybody knows me, it'll be from those videos, and then they pretty much know I didn't go anywhere from there.
What a loser.
And
Sounds like my life.
So people either know me from that or they don't know me at all, and I'm just a guy that pretty much nobody knows who's coming in to change everything, and they don't know how I got any sort of authority.
Wow.
And so yeah, it's one of those two things.
Oh, pretty humble mind here.
So tell us, we just briefly right before we called you spoke about the very basics of what the system is. So I'd like to hear what the system is, and hopefully then why you guys decided to try to implement this.
It was really interesting listening to you guys talk about it on the last show, and particularly I'll say from Sam's point of view, because a lot of the objections that you had are the exact same objections I get from everybody within the first 10 seconds of mentioning the system, which is a little frustrating to hear from the outside,
right?
Because these are actually the issues, if you like, that this was created for. Now, if you're I'll say a consistent top 16 type qualifying driver, then this system doesn't stand out very obviously straight away. What this was created for was pretty much everybody else beyond that top 16. One of the very consistent complaints that I was getting from people is, I've been drifting for a while now, I keep turning up to events and I can't qualify. And so effectively I'm paying my money for other people to go battling, and this isn't fair. And so we needed a system where, number one, everybody could battle. Now, the problem with doing an everybody can battle under the current top 32 is you go to a top 64 and then you have 1 versus 64, and that doesn't work either. Right. And so effectively, the main issues that I wanted to get rid of was the 1 versus 32. That's not a battle that either of those drivers value, because number one qualifier just wants to get out without crashing, and number 32 knows that number one, if he does the best run he's ever done, he's still not going to win, and so he ends up going well beyond what he can do, and he ends up spinning, and that's how most of the top 32 battles end up being a who which of the lower guys is going to make the biggest mistake to basically kick himself out. And so you can't expect those guys to, number one, tone it down so they stop spinning, because they know that's never going to win. And so they're actually set up to fail within that system. And so effectively, we've created a system where everybody battles on the day. And then also everybody's battling within a similar skill set to themselves. So effectively, if you are pre-qualified where you should be, your first battle will be with somebody who's a little bit worse than you. So you're effectively giving them some positive battle experience. Your next battle is with somebody better than you, and then they help you. And so everybody on the next tier is helping the lower tier get some good quality battle experience. Now, if you don't get any better throughout the year, you'll pretty much stay within your tier. Every competition you do, you'll win a battle, lose a battle, and build some experience. But as you get better, you can move up to the next tier and then the next tier. And there's two main reasons why I think you'll get better. Number one, you're getting actual battle experience no matter where you started on the day. But at the same time, it's really good quality battle experience with people on your level. And the third thing is this idea that if you want to win a battle under the old system, you have to have a car that can match the guy who's qualifying number one. Because even in one of your first comps where you qualify 31st or 2nd, the guy you're going to be battling will have some mega car. What's the chance you're going to beat him in a low quality car? So there's a lot of pressure to build these high quality cars straight away from day one.
So I do want to, sorry to interrupt, I do want to come back to the advantages, disadvantages, but first, for those that don't know, which I still can include myself in that category, as simply as you can put it, what is the system compared to, I think everyone can probably say that they know the FD format is you qualify for a certain amount of points, you get those points, and then number 1 is against 32, number 2 is against number 31, and so on. That's a system you think is broken. Yes. And how is your system different?
It's just the fact that everybody is broken up into tiers of 8. And so the very first 8 are, say, the champions. These guys have already proven themselves, and they get a bonus of 1 round of being a champion, and everybody's coming after them. Everybody else is broken up into other tiers of 8 within their respective skill sets. And so we pretty much know where most people should be, and that's where we put them. And then the very bottom 8 will battle the next 8 up, and battle the next 8 and the next 8 until we end up with 8 people worthy of battling the top 8 champions.
So it's like 8 different brackets. So if you're in the top 8 scored, well, how do you get your initial scores throughout the season?
So the way we did it here, so we effectively, we've been working on this for 12 months here in Australia, and I've been working with VicDrift to have this implemented. And the way we did it is we went off of our qualifying and end results from last year. And so we had a very base initial viewpoint of where people should be. But then we also had a bunch of people who came from interstate. Now, in theory, they might be hard to slot in, but effectively all you do is just look at the person, look at what they've done, where they would usually finish within a competition, and then and compare them to somebody within our competition to say, yep, they're pretty similar to that person, and just slot them in with them, and then everybody moves down a slot.
So if someone's brand new and you've never seen them before, you're going to look at how they practice maybe, and then decide where they fit in?
So one of the key benefits of this system is that everybody knows who they're battling before the day. And so this is something I really like. It was a bit of an extra, if you like. So I can tell you that you will either battle one of 2 people who are before you in the system, and then if you can win, you'll battle the next 2 people. So instead of having to watch absolutely everybody in practice, we already know who you're likely to be battling. And the only way to keep that is if the battle tree is set in stone before the event.
Right.
And so we will have a look at you even before the day, so that we can tell you what the go is and where you've qualified before we even start. And I'll say that one of this was actually one of the key sticking points for a lot of people about this qualifying, because under the 32, qualifying is very critical that it's fair where you pretty much end up. Under this system, it's not that critical, because let's just say for whatever reason, I don't think you're as good as you actually are, and I put you a little bit too low. You're just going to battle up to where you should be anyways.
Yeah.
And so if you're as good as you're saying, well, you'll prove that. It doesn't hold you back, and if anything, it gives you a bit of extra battle experience along the way. And even if you're put a little bit too high, then you'll lose your battle, and you'll end up bent down to where you should have been anyways.
So just to set in stone, hopefully my and the viewers' understanding of how it goes. So let's say 32 people show up to the Drift event, and they're already graded ahead of time by you guys as to where they should be.
Yep.
And then your best person goes against the 8th person. And then the second best goes against the 6th best, and so on in that bracket. And then bracket 2 is the 9th best person versus the 16th best person.
So the way we did it, and this was a little bit different to the way you guys were describing it, was effectively the very first tier, which is the champions. They are from 1 to 8, but pretty much every other tier is a group. So you're either in tier 2 or tier 3, but there's no real specific qualifying within that.
Okay.
And this does two things for us. Number one, it doesn't really matter because you will be roughly within that group, if you like. But it also means that after round 1, on round 2, we can jumble you up within your group so that the next level of battles, if you like, are all completely different again. And so that way you're not battling the same people round after round. But yeah, so the way I look at it is the top 8 people really should be qualified between 1 to 8 based off of their experience, but everybody else, you're either in a group 7 or group 8. Most of those guys are pretty similar to each other anyways, and so where they are in that group is not important.
So you're saying it's kind of like the winner's circle, the top 8, which are the obvious front runners who are going to knock each other all out within the first round, and then they're going up against the other, let's say 3 or 4 brackets of people. I'm sorry, I'm kind of confused on how the day progresses. So
we start from the very back of the field.
Okay.
So we know that tier 8 or tier 9, which is the last bracket, they will be the guys that this is pretty much their first ever event.
Okay.
And they're going to battle the guys that have done 2 events, and they battle the guys who have won a couple of battles before, and we just keep going up through the level of quality skill, if you like, until we get 8 people will rise to the top. These are the 8 worthy people, worthy of battling these top 8 champions that have been sitting at the top the whole time waiting for you guys to sort it out. And then that gives us a top 16 of half of the drivers are, as we said, champions, and the other half are people that have been able to win through battling to get to the top to meet them.
So if you are a less experienced driver, you're driving more to reach the so-and-so winners competition of the top people. The main competition is all the winners that have already put themselves into the world as being an established driver, and then everyone else is kind of fighting ahead of time to get into that winner's circle?
Pretty much. It's like a qualifying system. So it's almost like the tiered system is a qualifying system. Everybody else has to prove themselves and qualify to get into the show, if you like, the top 16.
Right.
And I know one of the issues that you had, Sam, was, well, doesn't this mean now that if I'm going to start from the bottom and win this thing, I'm going to have to do 10 battles and I'm going to break a bunch of bits and it's going to cost me a fortune in tires?
Right.
The reality is, if you start in the very bottom tier, this is your first ever comp. Now, I'm not saying you can't get all the way up to the top and win it. It is possible.
It's just unlikely.
It's unlikely, yeah. So what we found with our system is the most amount of battles anybody did on the day was 5, which is what you do in a top 32 system. The guy who wins it would do 5 anyways. And so our winner of the day did 4. And you talked a little bit about the idea that, we've got this guy at the very back and he's winning and everybody's getting behind him. That literally happened in our very first competition, and it was amazing to watch. We had a guy that nobody had ever heard of before. We had a very little bit of info. I ended up finding somebody who knew him, and effectively it was pretty much his first comp. So he started last, and he won 5 battles to get up through 4 tiers.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just slaying people left, right, and center. The guy no one's ever heard of before, and
that's the best.
It was so good to watch. So these are the things that this system kind of promotes and brings up, and one of the things that I was most proud of the day was at the end of the day, a bunch of people sent me messages telling me that they'd liked it. But one of the things that I really liked was a guy who said, "This was my first ever battle. I can't even believe I won." He's like, "I wouldn't even qualify normally."
And that brings us exactly to what I was going to ask you. Pretty much this system makes even the most of the beginners, of the drivers, understand what is it about heading into a professional drift series. When you like most of the beginner people who goes into pro-ams, they just go there, they maybe still don't qualify, and then they have to drive back home. So they don't get anything good out of that event. It's just like it demotivates a lot of the drivers. And the funny thing is, not funny, but the cool thing, we just had the guys from Lone Star Drift. They just had their event, their first round last week. And their feedback from the drivers, we got a lot of comments from the drivers who actually run Lone Star Drift, and everybody just absolutely loved it. Everybody got a chance to drive tandem. Everybody got got to experience what it is to actually battle, and you're way up there. And I think this is what brings the most value into this system. Everybody really is gonna learn, even when you're just starting. You're learning how it is to deal driving with another driver and trying to beat him and trying to lead and follow and like show the judges what you're capable of.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, a couple other things, Chris. Kind of looking at this, and obviously you've been around drifting at the pinnacle in the sense of going to Japan and driving with Team Orange and Andrew and all those guys at Power Vehicles. It's like you've seen every kind of aspect of qualifying and practice and things like that. And you kind of look at, just qualifying in itself. And, a lot of drivers out there, especially in the States and things like that, who are used to this single run or, qualifying, single car qualifying platform. It's like there's some people who kill it in qualifying, and they drive solo and practice all day long, but they don't get that experience, that tandem experience, because they only drive well alone.
Yeah, this was a bit of an issue. So I know that I've mentioned to you guys via text that this is part of a bigger plan that I have, which is also to change the judging criteria within drifting and the judging format. And one of the very consistent issues that I have from drivers is when they say, I'm battling against somebody, but that person's slower than I am. And so what we need to do is speed up all of these slower drivers. Now, the reality is that the chase car is always going to be faster for multiple reasons. So if we had two identical cars, the chase guy is always going to be faster because he's allowed to use slightly different lines to the lead car. And so therefore there is no speeding up the lead. If anything, a slower lead is what you want so that you can battle harder behind them. And what we find is that we do have a lot of these guys who are really good at their solo runs, but because they don't do a lot of tandem in practice, they don't tandem with their friends. They get into a battle and they completely fall apart. And so this system just eliminates all of that. These people will no longer stand out as a solo runner, which is not what this is about. And it's just going to push people into doing more tandem practice. And this is one of the things that we covered in our last event, was pretty much I said, if you're not out there tandeming with your friends, don't expect to get anywhere. Leaving here as a first place qualifier is not the goal. Leaving here as somebody who can really put on a show in front of the crowd and push yourself. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, and that's that's what we feel some of what drifting here in the States could be potentially missing is it's a show, man. At the end of the day, it's really going out there and putting on a show, not only for yourself, but for the people in the stands. And as a couple people were mentioning, even Aaron in his video saying, it gets rid of the 3 hours of qualifying, which could be fucking brutal. Even at FD rounds, man, like you get some of the media guys where it's like, all right, there's 60 cars here. I know usually doesn't get good until about the top 10, top 12 cars. So I'll go grab a hot dog and a cheese stick and then come back and I'll catch the action when it counts. But it's like, that gets rid of all that. And think about being that other dude who goes out there and doesn't run nobody gives a shit about because it's not, it really changes
Even on Formula Drift, like a lot of people don't even tune in for the live qualifying because they're like, we'll just find out who qualified and then we'll watch that. This way, it shows you battle since the beginning. It's hot.
Yep.
Two other
things, Chris. Sorry to kind of run through this here, but what was kind of you already mentioned the inspiration behind it to give everybody a run, but have you talked to other organizations about this? If it was mentioning some people out in Japan, and then how relevant do you think this could be as far as maybe something Formula D incorporates or other large drift organizations could pick up?
So as far as the timeline goes, the very first thing that I guess created was actually the judging format, and I needed a way to I guess I needed an in, and so there was the judging format, and then the battle system was created on top of that. And in terms of getting things implemented, the battle system is the easy one, and so once that's implemented, that's when we go into the judging. And so in Vic Drift, we've implemented both, and I'm really quite happy with how the judging part's going. And then Aaron Losey heard about what we were doing, and he flew over, saw it, loved the battle system. I've already spoken to him about the judging, and we're going to talk about more of that later on in the year. But it just, for me, if we just talk about the judging for a second, what started all of this was actually watching Formula D and watching the calls that they're making. Now, I'm not suggesting that the judges are making the wrong calls. What I think is that the system itself sets you up to make the wrong call. And I'll give you a quick example. I watch a lot of battles where the lead runs are not the same, and then I watch battles where they are the same. Now, if the lead runs are the same, we can all look at the chase guy and pretty much agree that guy did a better chase. Where it all becomes unstuck is for the moment the lead run becomes different. Now, if I give you an example where the one guy's done a really good lead run, and therefore the other guy's done a really good chase run behind him, we score that 5-5. When they swap over, the lead guy makes a mistake on entry, and then the chase guy makes a mistake on entry, and we call that 5-5 again, and that's pretty much a rerun. And I see that outcome so consistent, and I can see why that call is made. My opinion is that is not a 5-5, that is not a rerun. One guy came in with a really good lead, he tried to back it up with a good chase, but the other guy didn't return the favour of a good lead.
Right.
One guy brought more skill to that battle.
I can agree with that.
And so the current system will score it under points that just don't lead to the correct answer. And what this actually tries to promote you to do is to stuff up the guy behind you. Do whatever you can to either get away from him, stuff him up, because that's going to help you win. And so it actually promotes a poor driving style.
Right, I agree.
We've had this exact conversation, I believe, 2 episodes ago or so, where we were talking about it was actually on the Turek episode, where some drivers will use strategies.
Is that a legitimate tactic? And we agreed that within the current rule system, yes, that is an allowed tactic. There's nothing to say you can't drive differently, and we all agreed that it's shitty, but we didn't know how to change it.
Well, Chris, we put Turek in a scenario where we were saying, let's say you and a lead car, or you and a chase car went out there, and you guys fucking killed it, both lead and chase. Like, it was just a phenomenal run. But then Ryan takes the lead, and the other guy goes to chase.
And we said that this is the championship battle.
And this is the championship battle of the entire year.
Can you promise you wouldn't fuck around?
Yeah. So anyways, at Irwindale, coming off the bank, the dude gets into you, hits your rear bumper. Do you force a spin out, or do you try to drive through it?
Yeah.
Because if you force a spin out, obviously you win. You're the winner. But if you drive through it, you can still have a chance to make correction mistakes, which then can throw you out of the championship. And that's potential. People have done it. When I've ran, I gave a scenario when I've ran. People would choke you up initially on entry. They would decel or accelerate in weird spots they didn't do before. And it's the chase guy who would be penalized.
So please reiterate, though, what, again, about your system discourages this?
Sorry, Sam. The other thing I want to know is, Chris, if you were in that scenario, what would you do?
Well, under the RC...
Under FD rules.
Under FD rules.
This is quite a deep level of understanding, if you like, in terms of some people just want to win, and they will do anything to do that. Whereas I'll say, particularly because of the amount of time I spent in Japan, winning is not winning if you do it that way.
Right.
And deep down, you know you didn't win. So what's the point in taking a trophy home if you didn't win it?
That's the mindset.
You may as well just go and buy, like, literally go down to a trophy shop, start buying trophies. They're easy to get. You don't have to go to that level of effort to get one.
Because there's no honor in winning that way.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so the way I look at it is, you're there to prove to yourself, to your team, to your friends, to the fans, and to the judges that you're worthy of that outcome. And if you're not trying to do that to that level, then you may as well not be there.
So then, again, before Corey rudely interrupted. No, that's a good. That's a good question. No, I just wanted to have you reiterate.
How do we fix this ingrained issue that's in all competition? All right.
Right.
So this is how it works. The way my system works is that we pretty much don't look at your chase run unless your lead run was what it was meant to be. And so I no longer have three judges. What we have, or we still have 3 judges, but not in the typical format. It doesn't matter who you are. Nobody can look at 2 cars at once and give you a really good viewpoint on what just happened. Can't do it. And so I have one judge who just looks at the lead runs. And what he's doing is, we've set out some criteria. It's not amazing criteria, but it's pretty much, we expect you to enter like this on this line within these clips, and it should be smooth. Roughly, that's it. And you can make that harder or easier depending on the competition you're judging. Now, the lead judge, his job is just to make sure that both leads were fair and within what we're asking you to do. Then, if he gives both of those leads were the same, we can then look at our chase guy judge, who only needs to look at the chase guy. That's all he's ever doing. And so if we know the leads were the same, then the judge of the chase has a fair opinion. And because he's only looking at just two cars and over the 2 runs, he can give us a really quality example or opinion of who was meant to win that. Now, the first thing is we get very little reruns because we're not trying to say, well, the lead car put one wheel on a white line here and then the chase. You just don't compare them like that. But effectively, the moment the lead car completely stuffs up on turn one, or, if we say we want a faint clutch kick entry and he does a big handbrake instead, he's going home. And
straight up.
Hold on,
Straight up.
I have a problem with that though, because that
Sure.
doesn't allow individuality. Like that doesn't allow, like, let's say you just want to throw out a different style of entry judges aren't looking for, like.
Yep.
That.
Well, see, this is where it all comes back to the show.
Yeah.
And the issue I have with the individuality is that I'll give you there's quite a lot of battles that will end where literally everybody's doing a clutch kick entry into the corner, and it's a fast entry.
Right.
And then you get a really good driver. He's done his clutch kick entry. He's helped the other guy look good. They swap over, and the guy comes up and just reefs the handbrake because the other guy thought he's expecting a clutch kick. He almost drives into him. He spins out, and then the guy who actually had better skill is now out.
Right.
And the show looks terrible for it.
And I agree. I agree with trying to. This is kind of like the unanswerable question that I think occurs in society and everything as a whole. Is like, do you restrict the options, or do you let people do what they do and then they fuck up and ruin it for everyone?
Well, the other thing too, Chris, on top of that, sorry.
Yep.
No, I'm just playing off your thing on the end. So it's the same thing. So it's not getting off topic. It's going back to the Formula Drift rules. They say you have to qualify the same way you drive in practice, which still allows individuality, but hopefully won't take away from the show.
Yep. Yeah, I'll give you a bit of an example of how this can still give you a whole bunch of freedom. In terms of just that entry, I think the entry needs to be very consistent across the board. Everybody should be doing the same. Either everyone's handbraking or everybody's clutch kicking.
That defines the rest of the run. If you get screwed on entry, you're going to play catch up and be lost.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much over. Now, for the rest of the run, let's just say we'd like to. I'll say we'll give you a point between 1 to 10 as to how hard you're going to drive the lead run. All we're going to ask you to do is a 5. In terms of a 5 means it's online, it is smooth, it is consistent, and it has good angle, and it's easy to chase. Now, if you decide to do, say, an 8 run, I'm not going to give you any bonus points, but it actually makes you look better than the chase guys. Because you've got more angle, so the chase guy doesn't look as good. You've got more smoke, more whatever, you're flicking harder, the chase guy doesn't look as good. So you don't get a direct, this is your score for leading. You just need to get within the bracket. And what we're trying to achieve here is some more consistency in the lead driver. If you can only do a 5 consistently, then do that, at least you're in. If you can do an 8 consistently or even a 10 consistently, do that as well, but you don't get a direct bonus point for it. It just helps you look better than the chase guy. I think the biggest problem that I see within Drift is that we're pushing too hard to win the battle on your lead run.
Right.
And that just creates too many mistakes, which basically means that it just feeds down from there as a mistake from the lead, mistake from the chase. Then we've got a big gap and the battle looks terrible. So get the lead run sorted. Let's really judge this thing off of these chase runs. And so the way I put it in my driver's briefing is, as a lead car, what is going to help you win this competition is if you help the chase guy look good, then you will ultimately reap the benefits from the system. Help him look good. He returns the favor. You both put on an amazing show and win this on your chase run. And so we did have, I'll say, one battle in particular within Vic Drift where, and everybody did the exact same lead, which was great. There was one car who decided to, instead of doing the feint, which is what we had asked for that track, tried to do a single flick, and he went home. And they were not happy about that.
Yeah.
Because literally, he did a single flick, the guy behind him spun, and I sent the other guy home. Now, I know under the old system, the guy who spun would be out. But I'm like, hang on, I told him. And literally in briefing, this is what I say. On chase, go as hard as you can to put on a show. And if the lead guy tries to stuff you up, I'll just send him home. Because that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
So
initially, I want to get like up in arms about that, but I totally understand the idea is that like we said is that determines the rest of the run, and I think a lot of FD battles are won and lost off of that deception of entry, and that not just entry speed but entry style. And yeah, you could go a 70-mile-an-hour entry in your first set of battles, and then your one more time you're going to do a 90-mile-an-hour entry, and the other guy is just gone.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I know this concept of helping the chase guy look good just grinds people's gears. It's like, hang on, that doesn't make sense for a competition.
I actually like it.
Well, the idea that my initial protest that I was thinking of throwing at you was like, it doesn't inspire you to be the best you can, because the initial thought, as Americans, all right, we're number one, first of all. like I just want to think like, we don't want to have this system where everyone needs to help each other and everyone should make the show the best they can. No, like I want people to shine. I want people to be the very best, and I want to see them drive the dick out of every other driver out of there. I want to see them just drive the best. And yeah, I do understand though, in that, I guess you are putting more weight, more gravity on the chase run.
Yep, that's your chance to as you put it, drive the dick off it.
Well, I think also it's taking the foul play out of it.
Yeah.
Like it really is taking the foul play out of the sport, which is it could be an amazing thing, because you can have somebody dip out on you or change some sort of initiation at the entry of the course, and that chase guy's now is like, my run's fucking over unless I do the same thing back to him to fuck him up.
More foul
and
play.
and
right.
so there's a lot more foul play that would be going into it, and with this it prevents people from saying, dude, don't drive your ass off, but expect consistency out of this.
Leave your dick on the track.
Well, so I'm sold 100% on the grassroots feasibility of this. Applying it to FD or another major AAA drift league, my main concern would be then the grading and the judging that goes into where your positions are before the round starts. And finding out who is in the championship winners bracket to start the show, and who is in the second tier fighting to get into the winners bracket. Like,
but for Formula Drift, that'll be easy because they have all the scores from the
because
previous
you have millions and millions of dollars of sponsors going into this. It's not easy to just throw where the new guy sits and where let's say the championship circle, the champion circle is like 8 people. Someone that's number 9, that's someone that has a lot of money and time put into the sport, and they are marginally better or worse than number 8. And I think that, not that people aren't currently being screwed by the current system. I'm just wondering, in your words, where the lines are drawn, where this is better, where this might have an issue.
So if anything, this was the entire thing was designed around Formula Drift. And without getting too far into that, it's definitely, in my mind, the series that is, I'll say that I think a lot of people look at the decisions they're making and they have a bit of a negative eye towards that, and that they're saying that, that they're only making some of these decisions for their own reasons, and some of the decisions don't make sense. Now,
I would say that's the biggest problem in the sport right now. So.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I look at a lot of the decisions they're making, and instead of just, I guess, being critical, I'm like, all right, well, why did they make that, and what are they trying to achieve? And deep down, I think they're really trying to make the sport better and bigger and better for everybody, and so I can see a lot of the positives that they're trying to do with those decisions. And so everything that I've done definitely has FD in mind, and particularly the bracketing system, because their top 40 just happens to work in perfectly with having tiers of 8, and so as we swap over to a new year, the 8 people that come up from Pro 2 literally just fit in that bottom tier, and then you just start battling your way up from there. Now, yes, number 9 might want to be in that top tier, but as you said, he's now got to drive harder to get into it. And so what we end up finding is that the drivers who are not very good at lead won't get anywhere within my system, so he has to get better at leading. And then the people who are consistent at leads actually promote themselves pretty quickly, but because they're not great on chase runs, these other guys who get better at the leads have to start beating these guys, if you like, when they get better at leads. And then the guys who aren't very good at chasing have to start working on that. And so it's a system that feeds into everybody. So one guy gets a little bit better than the other guy, then the other guy gets a little bit better, and it just keeps promoting and showing up people's actual weaknesses. Whereas under the old system, because you can make a mistake on lead and screw the other guy up and win, doesn't help you get better. And so both the judging system and the battle tiered system feeds in. My idea is that it's perfect for something like Formula Drift. And yes, there will be some people out there that might think they should be in that top tier, but prove it.
Cool. Right. What is your self-admitted biggest weakness of the system?
Good question. The biggest problem I have is convincing people they need it.
So I acknowledge that problem. But I want to know the answer of the system itself. Where is the system itself weakest? And of course, it's not an ironclad, locked-up system because I think that everyone would have adopted it overnight if it was. And I can preface this by saying that I am largely sold on the idea. But where do you, the inventor of such thing, say it's weakest?
So we had a few weaknesses earlier on which we were able to iron out. When the very first round that we ran at Vic Drift was actually quite slow, which was the opposite of what we had tested. So in testing, it was a really fast system. And one of the key things that when we were working with Vic Drift was I said, you've got to get these cars out of the pits really quick because we do pump through the battles. And they'd move their pits, which held us back. And so effectively what happened was a lot of the people liked the system but got the impression that it was slow.
Yeah.
And then I then worked with Aaron and said, look, this is the problem we had. This is something that you can work on. And I'm not too sure how they did it, but they said they pumped through, I think they had 50 battles or so or even more within 2.5 hours, which is pretty amazing.
But do you think the system felt slow because the drivers weren't ready for it?
Sounds like a coordination error to me.
Yeah.
It was just a coordination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is definitely not
ready.
that. It's not really a problem. Okay.
No. So it wasn't really an issue with the system. So far, it hasn't, outside of that, it really hasn't highlighted any other issues. We put 12 months of thought into this before releasing it, and the idea was actually just to run it in Australia only, and it was only that it kind of leaked out and other series started hearing about it, and it's a bit of a runaway train at this point, because on the surface it sounds really good and then people are running it and people are loving it, and so nothing negative has really risen to the top. I will say one potential negative that a couple of people have brought up is that let's just say you were first last year, and so this year we know you're going to be one of the top 8 champions. If for whatever reason you've just turned either crap overnight or everyone else just got amazing, you're going to lose your first battle and you finish in a top 16 position and you do get top 16 points. And a couple of people have brought that up and said, well, that's not really fair. And I said, well, actually, they earned that from last year. And they only get that benefit for one round because the next round, if they lose again, then they're out completely and they're not getting points anymore.
Okay.
And so as some people have said that doesn't seem fair to lose a battle and still get points. And I said, yeah, but let's face it, they finished up first last year. So they've kind of earned that position.
So as a whole, it sounds like it's less of a make or break, one chance you're out sort of thing, and more focuses on your consistency as a driver as a whole, which
yes,
I think is great. I'm going to ask one more little minor thing, and then Corey's going to give us a wrap up, and I think my one last little question about it, and we could talk about this for hours, of course, because I think it's very feasible and it's very important for the future of the sport. But have you talked to Ryan Sage and Jim Law about this?
So as I mentioned before, my plan was to run this for 12 months so that instead of coming to them saying, look, I've got a theory on how this could work and what I think will happen, I really wanted to come to them with a package saying, this is what we've done, these are the issues we've had, we've ironed them out, and these are the results we're getting. And when I say results, I mean, I don't just want people having even though the main focus is to create a better event, particularly with the judging format, I want to see better drivers by the end of the year, and I really believe I can create that. I believe I can. One of our biggest issues within Drift is just retention. We burn through drivers in Australia in terms of you get in, you do some events, you crash your car, you don't qualify. 2 years later, you've run out of money, and you're thinking this whole drifting's a stupid idea. And so we literally. What I'd like to get to is getting people at the end of the year saying, this was my first ever year of drifting and I've done at least 5 battles, if not 10 battles, and I'm having fun and I want to come back. And so I wanted to have a package of these are the real benefits. On the surface, we can come up with all the benefits we've been talking about. But by the end of the year, we'll have those answers as to were things better, were they worse. I genuinely believe they'll be better. But I need that package to come forward to say, this works. These are the benefits you can expect.
So do they know you exist yet?
Probably not. These are the guys who gave this guy a microphone?
well,
listening to this guy.
I think we're actually going to be talking to Ryan Sage here hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and we will definitely bring it up with him, as I'm sure Ryan is very in tune with the system, or not the system, but the drifting world, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did already know of what you guys were doing. And I'd be curious to hear, because like you said, I do not believe that there is malicious judging or any ill intent being done in FD. However, there just is people being fucked over every now and then, and that's just going to happen in any sport. But I definitely think that your system can possibly improve on that. Yep. And thank you so much for for spending time with us and kind of clarifying we didn't get about it initially. And Corey over here is going to ask you a quick wrap-up sesh here.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. So obviously you're kind of taking over and breaking the drift world with this new concept of qualifying and driving that could eventually kind of roll over here more and more often other than Lone Star and, starts picking up. But we're going to do this thing right now between Paco, Sam, and I, and it's basically 60 seconds to figure out who Chris DeJager is.
So we want one answer, one two word responses, and we're just going to throw some questions at you, and 60 seconds figure out what you are.
So yeah,
just before you start, I have to mention I already have an issue with this.
Yeah.
My answers are never one or two.
I know. That's why we're going to put you on the hot spot here.
That's why Corey has the idea, because we don't want you to be able to.
I don't know if I'm capable of even.
We'll do it.
You might just hear some, brain melting sound.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. What car would you be drifting right now if you could have any car in the world?
I love my S15.
Okay.
Who's the driver that inspires you the most that's in drifting now?
Suanaga from Team Orange. He is easily
done.
Paco.
Okay. Do you really slip another shrimp on the Barbie?
Oh god.
No.
Oh god. Next. Have you ever planned on competing in Formula Drift?
Yes, and that's what started all of this.
All right, Sam.
Can I finish that?
Nope. All right, yeah, we'll give you one more line on that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say my inability to see correct outcomes in judging consistently started all of this.
Okay. Sam, ask. Go. Question.
Why is The Hobbit your favorite movie?
Because I've never seen it.
What V8 or inline 6 turbo?
Rotaries, of course, is in Australia.
Inline 6 turbo.
There you go. Who's your favorite Formula Drift driver?
I like Forsberg.
There you go. Comment.
Okay. Yeah.
What was the highest finish you've ever had in any series, and what series?
Highest finish?
Yeah.
G1 GP. I've won the championship a couple of times.
Nice.
Awesome. What series have you competed in? Other series you competed in Japan, and favorite track in Japan?
Favorite track is Minami, and I've done D1 street legal and divisional. Nice. I've won a couple of divisional rounds.
Awesome.
Kangaroos, take them or leave them?
Just jump in.
All right.
On that note, I think that was
last
Paco
question.
got last one.
Last question. Do you know the guys from Mighty Car Mods?
I do. Yeah.
Nice.
That's all I wanted to know.
That was it. Thanks for that.
Good.
Paco finishing up with a zinger.
Good.
No, we're big. I'm at least myself. I'm a big fan of them, and that'll be cool to see them more, into the drifting thing.
And last thing, Chris, how could people find you? And are you going to do any more driving this year, or are you just kind of taking the back in here and just trying?
Tell us, what sanction body do you work for?
None, I guess.
I mean, aren't you part of Australia Drift, or what's it called?
Okay. So effectively, the first series I took this to was Vic Drift.
Vic Drift.
And
okay.
so these are the guys that are. Yeah, so they've been very progressive. They've if anything, none of this would have existed without them putting a lot of faith into me to make the changes that they've made. And so I'd like to thank those guys for allowing me this opportunity. And so if you jump on the Vic Drift website, you can see what they're doing. We had our very first competition actually sell out. Our practice days, I think they have 60 or 70 people on a practice day with 40 people on a waiting list within 2 hours. And they're just blowing up in terms of we just cannot put on enough track days for for what they're doing. So they're really helping getting a lot more people in, and all we're doing is just trying to get more people into it. So
awesome.
And where do people find you on the web, or they find out more about this format?
If you would like to just follow myself, I have my Chris DeJager Athletes page, and so every 6 months or so I'll put a post up on there. And then
what about the Instagrams or the Twitters?
Yeah, are you on Instagram? Do you have a website dedicated to this format? How are you going to sell this to the world?
Well, see, here's the thing. Because things have snowballed so quick, I don't have a website up and running for it. And like I said, the idea was just to stay low, do it for 12 months, prove it worked, and then see where we can go with it. And so if you're a series looking at running this, it's really easy to implement. Literally, Aaron Losey had a week to see it, implement it, and start running it, and he did that with ease. So if you're a series that would like to run it, send me a message on Facebook. I've already had a couple of other series contact me, and I've been working with them. And so if you'd like to put this into practice,
and
this is for everybody.
That's Chris DeJager, DeJager. Is that how you say it, DeJager?
J-E-R at the end. Yep.
Cool. Thank you so much, and thank you, of course, for putting time and effort into the sport that we all love. And I hope to see great things from you in this format in the future, man.
Thank you, and like I said, it'll be. We literally started this off by saying 5 years ago, some people knew who I was, and now nobody does. And let's just hope that it doesn't turn out to be the same thing. Remember that guy that came up with that system that didn't go anywhere?
I think you're definitely doing the right thing.
No, I think, Chris, you have too much heart into this, and I think you really understand what drifting's about. And with those two things, I don't think it'll be ever looked over.
And at its core, I don't think it really matters. If you're in it for the reasons that we are doing what we do here, is that if someone knows my name in 5 years, or they know it better or worse than they know it now, that's what it is, whatever. But I think the more important thing is that we all put our lives and time and effort and money into this beautiful sport that we want to see grow and get better and stick around. So I think you're doing that.
Thanks very much for the opportunity to come on your show. And again, I'll throw it back at you. Thanks for your passion, guys, because this is why we're here.
Hell yeah, man.
Awesome, Chris.
Well,
yep.
See
all right,
you
man.
Soon. Hopefully talk to you soon.
Take care.
Good luck.
Thanks for
All
talking
right,
to us,
cheers.
man.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
He's a nice guy.
I was gonna say, like, actually, that's probably the best interview ever. This guy is super legit. He's a gentleman. He answered to all of our questions.
I really, everyone else does that too. I think that's a nice interview,
No,
though.
they're not.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they mostly do. I mean, everyone else we've talked to is a professional driver.
Yeah.
And of course that they have things they can kind of talk about, and they have things that they're waiting to reveal. Chris is more or less, granted he's done a lot of professional driving, but so is Corey. Like, he is more or less one of the guys in this regard, and that he's someone at our level to say that most of the dudes we're talking to have something to gain or mostly lose by talking to us, because we're going to reveal something that they don't want to be revealed and all that shit. Chris just wants his shit to be known, and I think he's got a great platform and a great idea. And I think I want to say, if you guys hopefully agree, that we should talk about this at the beginning of next show, but we've already gone past the 2 hour mark here. So we are going to wrap this one up. Yeah. And then we'll keep talking about this. Please leave comments, because I think we have all kind of established opinions talking to Chris about this, and I'd like to hear what you guys think about it, because I know the people that I think the large audience who listens to this show are of similar minds to us, and that they love the sport and they want to see it grow, and they're not drinking all the haterade. Granted, they think there's probably things that could be fixed, and there's things that they love and hate and all that. So what do you think of Chris's format? Let us know that and more in the comments section on YouTube, iTunes, Facebook, Instagram. And of course, follow Paco at Tofu Drift and 2F Performance. Follow me at Drift Idiot, and follow Corey at
Corey Hosford.
Corey Hot
Street
Dog.
Standard.
Corey Hot Dog Street Stand Hog.
Hotdogsorlegs.com.
Hotdogsorlegs.com.
All right, guys.
And we should close with a beautiful acapella.
Okay, let's try this.
Ready?
So,
thank you for listening.
For listening.
Good night.
Thank you.
Subscribe.